TCH tilde. Standing before the grand gates of the Beast Master list, Su-Ran and the three little ones all showed expectant expressions on their faces. Although this was not their first time here, this time, their strength had achieved significant growth. Unlike their previous slow climb up the rankings, they should be able to achieve a substantial bump all at once. Among the crowd entering and exiting the Beast Master list, many noticed this man with his three pets who had stirred up the wind and waves in the list half a month ago, but not many paid them mind. After all, their ranking was now stable. It seemed like they were only there for the usual daily ranking challenge. There was no shortage of strong contenders in the Beast Master list, and no one can maintain the spotlight for long. And this was exactly what Su-Ran wanted. He had already made quite a name for himself. With so many people keeping an eye on him in the daily ranking challenges, he was a tad uncomfortable. A decrease in the number of people watching him made the ranking challenge more relaxed. Let's go! Leading the three little ones, Su-Ran quickly stepped into the Beast Master list building. What ranking should we aim for first? Meow tilde combat power list. The response came from Xian in an eager, enthusiastic voice. Having mastered a 4-star skill that normally only Emperor species could grasp, Xian's strength had significantly improved. With these improvements, it should be able to surpass the current number 1 on the combat power list in one fell swoop, and bring her rank on the historical rankings from beyond 100 to a higher rank, earning a sizable amount of Beast Master points. This time it would lead the charge. Okay, Su-Ran nodded slightly, but there's no need to go all out. We will also be challenging the Beast Master list later. Meow, I get it. Xian nodded slightly. No matter how one sees it, the importance of the Beast Master list exceeds that of the Pet Beast list. Thus, when challenging the combat power list, it can't use Crimson Gold Electroplating or Scarlet Battle Intent in order to achieve better results in the successive Beast Master list challenge. However, feeling its own strength at this moment, Xian's eyes were still filled with a strong sense of confidence. Even if Scarlet Battle Intent was banned, and temporarily unable to use Crimson Gold Electroplating, I, Xian, am still invincible in the world. Charming, I also want to try. Seemingly affected by Xian, Can also seemed quite excited. Although its skill direction is mainly defensive, the one that had been upgraded to 4 stars was its only pure attack skill. So the resource distribution didn't give a huge boost to Can's defense, but greatly enhanced its attack power. Compared to Xian's immortal body, it had another advantage, which was its 4-star skill, Land of Destruction, that had already been promoted to the Halo level, currently the only Halo level skill in the team. Can glanced at Xian, feeling a bit guilty. If it surpassed Big Sister in the rankings, would Big Sister give it a beating? It decided to raise the defensive skills quickly during the next resource allocation to avoid painful beatings. Xilu tilde, you two do your best. Star let out a neigh and gently shook its head. The combat power list wasn't of much concern to it. Since it hadn't yet gained any 4-star skills through merging, Star didn't see a significant improvement in this round of resource allocation. It could only give mental support to Xian and Can. While the team of 3 was talking, they soon arrived at the testing location C12 for the combat power list. The door lit up in red with testing in progress, showing that someone was currently being tested inside. Su-Ran and the 3 pets patiently waited. Before the person inside came out, a bell rang, echoing across the whole field. Ding! As the bell rang, the entire Beast Master list quieted down a bit. The onlookers at different locations in the list started to search for the changing rankings. The next moment, numerous people threw their gazes toward a column of light soaring into the sky in the center of the field. It was the historical rankings changing. Among the rising murmurs, many figures quickly moved toward the light pillar, wanting to see which big shot had improved his historical ranking. That position, Su-Ran had a somewhat uncertain look on his face. It seems to be the leadership stage Pet Beast combat power list we will be going for next. Meow, that's correct. Xian's expression held a touch of seriousness. It was too familiar with that list. At this moment, only the top 3 stars in the current list were on the historical list. Since it was the second on this list, the one being tested now must be either the third one or the first one. For some reason, Xian had a strong premonition. The one challenging was not the third. The next moment, the historical list lit up. Du Hongchen, who was previously ranked 87th on the historical list, shot up through the ranks in a very short time. He jumped to the 48th position of the historical combat power list. He made it into the top 50. Suran and the three pets went silent for a moment. Then they simultaneously turned their gazes to the still closed door of the C-12 testing location. At this moment, the door slowly opened. A man and a pet beast walked out one step at a time. Leading the way was a man who, despite his handsome appearance, held a slight softness. However, a chilling murderous intent was reflected in his eyes. Following him was a somewhat hazy beast in the form of a cat with a shadowy figure. As it moved, it continuously dragged out afterimages, its whole body covered in jet black fur. It was a dark attribute king species, the nine-shadow demon cat. Chapter 363, 221, The Rivalry of Two Cats. It's him. Xian's peculiarly colored pupils constricted instantly, staring back into the eyes of the nine-shadow demon cat that was also gazing at it, an intangible clash of willpower fleeting between the two pet beasts. Throughout this period of rank climbing, it had never encountered the other, whose ranking had also never wavered in the slightest. Who would have thought that just as its strength greatly increased, and it was about to ascend to the top of the current ranking, this guy would actually come to challenge the rank, and his strength has also improved considerably. It's you, Du Hanshin also recognized Su Ran in front of him, a playful look on his face. I have been in seclusion training for some time. I didn't expect you to pop up. You're the second of the leadership level beast masters, with the highest individual combat power. You're impressive. But you can stop coveting the first place in the combat power list. Even Fang Yuling's pet beast might not be a match for my nine-shadow Damo. Why don't you bring it to our shop for some washing and care? Your nine-shadow demon cat's fur is a bit rough. With proper care, it can perform at its best. Su Ran's sudden interruption left a look of bewilderment on Du Hanshin's face. A wash and care, Du Hanshin couldn't help but glance at Su Ran. He had heard rumors that this guy likes advertising. Now he saw it for himself. Here I am making a tough stand, and he's trying to turn me into a customer. This is really... Sure, Du Hanshin smirked. I see you want to climb the ranks too. If you don't surpass me, how about a free wash and care for my nine-shadow demon cat? No problem, Su Ran readily agreed. Of course, he wouldn't just advertise out of nowhere. The nine-shadow demon cat may be the top-ranked pet beast in terms of combat power, but it also ranks high on the velocity chart, showing that this dark attribute pet beast is very good at speed. If they can snatch a dark attribute speed-based skill, Star would surely be thrilled. See you later. Without saying more, Su Ran led the three little ones into Area C-12, leaving Du Hanshin behind with a look of disdain. Boom! With a terrifying roar, a leadership stage armored rhinoceros with a body size of more than 10 meters, robust and burly like a small mountain, was blasted into the ground by Xian's claw, leaving behind a deep pit. Its shattered body turned into countless points of light and dissipated. Watching this scene, Can, who was observing, couldn't help but shudder. Although the body size of the armored rhinoceros was much smaller than Can's, it seemed to already be imagining the scene of itself being beaten. The big sis is still the big sis, still fierce when fighting. Test over. Su Ran stood up and waved at Xian, indicating it to stop. With a flash, Xian appeared in front of Su Ran. Apart from its vitality seeming slightly worn because of the continuous fighting just now, everything else was perfectly normal. Xilu Tilde. Star neighed, and the ethereal chain instantly linked it with Xian. Accompanied by the continuous flashing of the chain's links, Xian quickly recovered to its peak strength at a visible speed. Star brand power bank, with a main feature of being fast. After giving a grateful look to Star, Xian turned to look at the test result that just popped up. Combat power, 60,239. Broke 60,000. A look of excitement appeared on Xian's face. Before this, its combat power, relying on the training it had done in this period, was only a little away from 53,000, and its rank in the historical rankings had also improved from the original 372 to 107. And now, the improvement from a 4-star skill has increased its combat power by a full 7,000. This doesn't even include the bonus from Crimson Gold Electroplating and Scarlet Battle Intent. Looking at Xian's current combat power, Su Ran suddenly spoke. What was Du Hanshin's combat power after his upgrade just now? It's about time he should be finishing his test soon. Standing at the entrance of the C-12 testing ground, Du Hanchen crossed his arms, a look of disdain on his face. "Little Black, I've earned you a free wash and care. Aren't you satisfied?" Meow tilde. The nine-shadow demon cat licked its paw, its expression calm. It wouldn't be so easy to provide wash and care for it. Whether that human could do it well was still unknown. Due to its uniqueness, the nine-shadow demon cat's body was actually superimposed by 9 identical shadows. Because of the non-overlaps in the superimposition process, its body contour appeared blurred. Only one of these 9 shadows is real, and the specific one varies with time. If the real one becomes clean, the other 8 shadows will also become clean. That's why the 9-shadow demon cat loves to lick its fur. 1 lick, 9 times the pleasure. To wash and care for the 9-shadow demon cat, one must first determine its physical form. There are only a few washing and care specialists in the entire Xi'an city who can do this. Well, it's free anyway. The 9-shadow demon cat licked its paw twice again and glanced at the leaderboard. It hadn't charged the rankings for more than half a month, almost been surpassed by a fellow it had never heard of before, and what's more, like itself, it was also a feline pet beast. It wouldn't feel any closeness to the pet beast called Flash Thundercat just because they were both felines. On the contrary, it quite disliked its own kind. Ding! A crisp bell rang through the beast trainer ranking area, causing Du Hanchen and the 9-shadow demon cat's expressions to become serious at the same time. Was it someone else rushing the rankings that caused the change in the rankings, or was it Su Ran who just went in? The next moment, the lit-up leaderboard caused Du Hanchen's heart to sink. In the historical leadership stage Pet Beast Combat Power List, a column of light shot up into the sky, attracting attention. However, what made Du Hanchen's heart sink even further was the flickering light on the other leaderboard next to it. The current combat power list has also changed. It's widely known that those who rush the rankings can't possibly see a decrease in their rank. If the tested combat power doesn't exceed the previous test result, then the leaderboard ranking will be based on the previous test result. So if a beast trainer who is currently rushing the rankings has a change in their ranking, their position can only improve. Wait a minute. As if he had thought of something, Du Hanchen's eyes shone with a different light. This guy named Su Ran, he just went in with 3 pet beasts. Apart from the Flash Thundercat, which was ranked 2nd, closely pursuing his own 9-shadow demon cat, there was also one named Pan Long Turtle, which was famous on the pet beast leaderboard. Maybe the change in the rankings was because of it. However, the moment Du Hanchen had this thought, the ranking that lit up on the current board shattered his last hope. His name at the first place and Su Ran's name in the second lit up together, and then instantly swapped places. First place, Starfear Foster Care Shop, Flash Thundercat, Combat Power, 60,239. Looking at the new name in the first place and the combat power number following it, Du Hanchen's pupils drastically contracted, and his face was full of surprise and confusion. How is that possible? Hasn't this guy been rushing the rankings all this time? How could he suddenly increase his combat power by so much? Equally bewildered and confused were the 9-shadow demon cat. It slowly put down its paw, and in its shock it temporarily forgot to groom itself. It was surpassed by that little ragged cat. No, on what basis? While the one-man, one-pet pair was stunned, cries of surprise kept coming from the audience in front of the historical rankings. After the change in the current rankings was over, the rankings on the historical combat power list began to change. Xi'an, who was originally at 107th place, his name lit up instantly, then kept climbing in front of everyone's eyes. Top 100, top 50, top 30. Amid the exclamation of the crowd, Xi'an's rank finally settled at 25th place. 25th place on the historical rankings. You must know that the higher you go, the greater the gap in combat power between the ranks. Once you reach the top 50 in the historical rankings, each rank increase is quite difficult. After all, those who rush the ranks face countless powerful pet beasts that have left their mark at the leadership level over the past 3 centuries. This guy, Du Hanchen, took a deep breath, involuntarily looking towards the tightly closed door of the C-12 test site. But a moment later, his expression gradually became strange. For some reason, a sense of foreboding surged in his heart. The Flash Thunder Cat's rush rankings results have long since ended, so why hasn't Su Ran come out yet? Chapter 364, 222, Xi'an, what? It's a backstab. Boom! A light yellow halo soared up into the sky, pulling countless grains of sand from thin air, connecting each other by an invisible force, shaping up into a large net of terrifying entrapment. In the giant net, thousands of transcendent beings were frozen in their tracks. Even twitching was impossible under such an enormous power disparity, let alone escaping this terrifying zone that will bring about their obliteration. The next moment, the transcendent beings along with the giant net started to collapse, as if an invisible, colossal hand was crushing them all together. With the immense pressure, their flesh and bone structures contorted. Following it, a wave of sky-shaking roars echoed throughout the battlefield. Centered on the gigantic net, a terrifying explosion sparked what nearly materialized into an energy storm, sweeping the entirety of the test field round after round. 4-star skill, Halo-level Land of Destruction. Sure Tilda. Can swiveled its massive stature that stood like a mountain, lifted its head high, and let out a proud roar. Then, its body rapidly shrank. Within a split second, it transitioned from a 100 meters tall horrific body into a pet-sized small turtle of about 1 meter, and leisurely returned to Su-Ran. Excellent. Su-Ran patted Can on its head and looked up at the popped-out testing result. Combat power, 63,196. Gazing at this combat power, the trio falls silent in starfear, and Can almost immediately turned to look at the petrified Xian. Xian, meow meow meow. Its triumphant expression instantly froze, and the joy of being the top of the rank evaporated. Unexpectedly, instead of the 9 shadow demon cats' comeback, it was Can who stabbed them in the back. This guy. Xian quickly turned its head, looking at Can who awkwardly darted its eyes in a different direction. I'm first in combat power, For a moment, Xian wanted to unleash the crimson gold electroplating and scarlet battle intent, and take another test. However, thinking about the forthcoming Beast Master list, Xian temporarily let go of this idea and shot Can a fierce glare. Once the immortal body ranks up to Halo level, it will definitely regain the top spot. As a pet entity that focuses on attacking skills, it is unthinkable that it would lose to Can, who only has one output skill. This is simply a shame for cats. Let's go, we should go out. Su-Ran, with a grin, tousled Xian and Can's hair at the same time. We have both the first and second spots, it's pretty nice. Upon hearing this, Xian felt a slight improvement in its mood. Right. No matter how you look at it, it's better to lose to its own teammates than to others. But it will reclaim this top spot. Definitely. Xilu Tilda, cheer up. Starfear was all too happy to facilitate the drama. After all, the power listing had nothing to do with it. The trio began to talk and laugh their way out of the testing venue, and soon they saw Du Hanshan, standing still as a statue. You? Du Hanshan looked at Su-Ran, who was walking towards him, his breathing gradually becoming more erratic. How dare he bully me like this? It's one thing to be surpassed by his Flash Thundercat, but now even his Panlong Turtle has surpassed me. Just remember that Panlong Turtle was hardly qualified to be in the historical rankings before. With the shift in rankings, not only has the Panlong Turtle become the current list's #1, but it has also miraculously broken into the top 10 places in the historical rankings. The top 10. He couldn't believe that Su-Ran had improved so much in such a short period. Remember, both these pets attempted the combat power list earlier today. Their combat power improvement was nearly 0, and they didn't improve their ranks any. So there is only one explanation. Du Hanshan strides over to Su-Ran, extends his hand to grab Su-Ran's collar. However, he retracts it with realization, recalling that the young man in front of him was the #1 in the Beast Master overall power ranking. Did you deliberately retain your strength to surpass me in front of my face? The term sniping is a special slang in Beast Master rankings, referring to deliberately holding back in the attempt to top the list until the Beast Master who's going to be surpassed is present. Although it's permitted by the rules, it's a great deal of embarrassment. Previously, Su-Ran had remained unflinchingly balanced, other than an initial jump, and once Du Hanshan arrived, the two pets of Su-Ran successively surpassed him, taking away his second spot. This caused him to speculate in this direction. Sniping, Su-Ran, slightly taken aback, shook his head reluctantly. Of course not. My pet just so happened to have a significant increase in strength, so we came to try the ranking. Du Hanshan's face cleared up a bit. Thinking about it carefully, he also felt the judgment he just made was ill thought out. Generally, those who choose to snipe usually have previous resentment. He hadn't encountered the young man in front of him before, so there's no question of any sort of resentment. Additionally, since Du Hanshin just finished his closure today, there is no way Su Ran could have known about it in advance. Was it a misunderstanding then? But how the heck did this guy manage to improve his pet's abilities so much in such a short time? I apologize, it was a misunderstanding. Du Hanshin shook his head. Starfear Foster Care Shop, right? I will bring my pets over. Leaving a response behind, Du Hanshin turned around and left. He finally had a major boost in strength and decided to show off it, but he didn't expect to lose face even more. This heartache, he couldn't bear to stay a minute longer. He had to excuse himself. Watching the other party leave, Su Ran retracted his gaze and looked over at Starfear. Try to aim for a better speed-type skill from that 9-shadow demon cat. A grateful look appeared in Starfear's eyes. Only now did it realize that the gamble Su Ran had just mouthed off to the opponent was all for it. I'm gonna cry, the Beast Master really cares about it. Xilu, get on the Beast Master list. Stars sparkled with desire in Starfear's eyes. Although its strength improvement was not as great as Xian and Cancan's since it didn't get a 4-star skill or upgrade any skills to the Halo level, there was still some improvement. Only by using all of its supportive effects in collaboration with the greatly improved Xian and Cancan to top the remaining 2 lists of the Beast Trainer rankings, could it repay its Beast Master for being so kind to it. Meow tilde, charge, charge, charge. A hint of thrill appeared on Xian's face. It had suppressed the urge to use explosive skills to surpass Cancan and reclaim the #1 spot, leaving 2 explosive skills unused. No matter what happens, it has to reach #1 in the Beast Master list this time. Not only the individual combat power list, but also the overall combat power list and the Pet Beast Team power list. All top positions on this day. As Xian and Cancan successively became the current leaders of the combat power list and rose significantly in the historical rankings, the attention of the cucumber-eating masses, which had faded due to the 3 little ones, returned once again. Seeing the direction Su Ran and the 3 little ones were heading, excitement arose in their eyes. That location, it's the leadership-level Beast Master list. Su Ran, who has already claimed the top spots in both the current and historical rankings of the leadership-level Beast Master's individual combat power, undoubtedly has the next goal in mind. Judging from the sudden power upgrade of his pet beasts on the combat power list, it is possible that Su Ran will indeed accomplish his goal. If that's the case, today will indeed be big news. After all, the person he aims to surpass is that man's daughter. For a time, countless cucumber-eating frontliners summoned friends, creating quite a lively scene. Seeing the increasingly large crowd following behind, Su Ran smiled. Would his fame increase a bit if he surpassed Fang Yuling and claimed the top 3 spots? The bottleneck in increasing his fame was due to his achievements not being astonishing enough. But it should be enough if he surpasses Fang Yuling, right? Soon, under the hopeful and excited gazes of the crowd, Su Ran with his 3 little ones entered the C01 testing area. Beastmaster's overall power ranking. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. As time gradually passed, the crowd waiting outside the C01 testing area grew larger, until a deep and vast bell rang out, echoing through the entire venue. Ringed. Corresponding to the booming sound, there was a multitude of gasps and murmurs from the crowd. Did he surpass her? Not necessarily. The historical ranking might have changed. True, Su Ran's historical ranking was significantly lower than Fang Yuling's. It might change even if he doesn't surpass her. No, he really did surpass her. The current ranking lit up. As exclamations echoed, the beam of light soaring into the sky alongside the subtly flickering light attracted everyone's attention. Under the intense gaze of all present, Su Ran's ranking switched places with Fang Yuling's in an instant. First place, Starfear Fosterage, overall power, 431,762. He really did surpass her. With the background noises bubbling over, everyone turned their gaze towards the historical rankings. The ranking of Starfear Fosterage, like a bolt out of the blue, jumped from over 100 and emerged in the 4th place of the historical rankings. As Su Ran stepped out of the C01 testing area, the cucumber-eating masses looked at him with renewed awe in their eyes. That was Fang Kenghai's daughter, hailed as the Beast Master prodigy who most likely would surpass Fang Kanghai, standing heads and shoulders above her counterparts. At this moment, this youth, several years younger than Fang Yuling, managed to surpass her in such an astonishing fashion. But soon, the awe in people's eyes changed to astonishment. Because Su Ran, who had just topped the leadership-level Beast Master overall power ranking, calmly glanced at the leaderboard once before turning towards another testing area nearby. That was the C02 testing area. Could it be that Su Ran intends to top these two heavyweight lists in one day? Looking at Su Ran, who disappeared through the doorway of the C02 testing area, the breathing of the cucumber-eating masses began to quicken. Are you ready? In the C02 testing area, Su Ran stood on the high platform, looking down at his three little ones, their eyes brimming with excitement. The three little ones nodded in unison, their eyes filled with enthusiasm. Meow, let's do this. Xian growled, its body surging with an invisible and powerful fighting attribute force. It had already used crimson gold electroplating during the overall power test just now, and its thunder force was currently in a weak state due to backlash. But it still had its fighting attribute force, and its strongest skill at present was a fighting attribute ability. So, Xian stared at the rapidly approaching beast tied through the smoke and dust with its beautifully colored pupils. It's time to show off its true strength. Chapter 365, 223, Fang Kanghai's Laughter. My God, in such a short time, Su Ran has ascended to first in the overall power rankings. Among the crowd that had gathered at the news, Qin Kan couldn't help but grimace, quietly exclaiming, "This guy is simply absurd. Look at him, then look at yourself." Upon hearing Qin Kan's words, Qin Yue rolled her eyes in annoyance. She then proceeded to slap the back of his head. He's a couple of years younger than you, yet he's already topped the leadership-level Beast Master list twice. Sis, you didn't reach this ranking either, did you? Qin Kan held his head with both hands, speaking with a helpless expression on his face. At those words, Qin Yue was rendered speechless. After a moment of silence, she grabbed Qin Kan's ear. You dare talk back. Sis, I was wrong. Qin Kan's handsome face contorted in pain as he tiptoed in the direction Qin Yue was pulling, trying to alleviate his earache. That's good as long as you recognize your mistake. Qin Yue hummed, releasing Qin Kan's ear at once. She crossed her arms, looking at the Beast Master list in front of her. Indeed, a formidable guy. At this moment, she had no more grumbles about Su Ran surpassing her in the velocity chart. For some of the monster-like talent, this was merely basic performance. Make way, make way. From the other side of the crowd, a disturbance arose, with intermittent shouts for people to make way for something. Who is it? Qin Kan was somewhat annoyed. He had struggled to get to the front of the crowd. Why should he make way? With this thought in mind, Qin Kan couldn't help but tiptoe, trying to see over the sea of heads to understand what was happening. The next moment, Qin Kan's expression froze, and without a second word, he pulled Qin Yue aside, stepping back and making way like the others. Why are you pulling me? You, Qin Yue instinctively began to ask, only to be interrupted by long black hair sweeping past. That was Fang Yuling. An expression of surprise crept onto Qin Yue's face. She couldn't help but follow Fang Yuling's figure until she stopped in front of the Beast Master overall power ranking. Then Qin Yue's surprise intensified into anticipation. Things were becoming more interesting. Although she existed in a different skill tier than Fang Yuling, Qin Yue had always been captivated by Chairman Fang's only daughter. Word had it that the young lady was cold and aloof. It was unexpected that even she was attracted by Su Ran. Right, maybe she never thought that a peer could surpass her. What would her reaction be when Su Ran comes out? Many spectators among the crowd, thinking along the same lines as Qin Yue, shifted their gaze from the C02 testing area to the young woman in front of them. Unaware of the many eyes observing her from behind, Fang Yuling gently lifted her head, intently looking at the two names at the top of the board. Since she topped the list, she had held her position firmly. Many had tried to surpass her, hoping to prove themselves as the most powerful leadership-level Beast Master. Before this, none had succeeded. Having grown up surrounded by Emperor-level Beast Masters, including her father, and possessing a talent for evolution research that surpassed even her father, Fang Yuling had resources available to her that others could not even dream of. The more they wanted to surpass her, the more desperate they would feel. At this point, Fang Yuling, who had been at a standstill in the third stage contract power for a while, had maxed out the skill proficiency level of her 3 pet beasts to halo level, the peak level a leadership stage pet beast could attain. In such circumstances, Fang Yuling never thought that anyone could surpass her so effortlessly. How much time has passed since Su Ran first attempted to break into the Beast Master list? In less than half a month, he had risen from obscurity to top the Beast Trainer overall power ranking. If she was considered a monster, then what was he? Looking firmly at the name high above her, Fang Yuling was silent for a long while, eventually managing to ask, "Where is he?" At Fang Yuling's question, the crowd fell briefly silent before a voice rang out from somewhere within. "He is in the C02 testing area." C02. Fang Yuling suddenly looked up, shifting her gaze to another leaderboard nearby. The current leadership level Beast Master Pet Beast Team Power List. Almost the moment her gaze fell on the leaderboard, a deep roar echoed through the entire Beast Trainer's ranking area. It was like a heavy hammer pounding the hearts of each spectator, as well as Fang Yuling's. Dang! Sigh. After reaching its peak, Xian's power swiftly plummeted, noticeable to the naked eye. It seemed weak in an instant, as though the fearsome force was merely an illusion. It quickly shrank to its pocket-sized state, and then began a stagger towards Su Ran's direction, step by step. Having just used the crimson gold electroplating skill, its thunder force had reached its absolute limit. Now, with the onset of Scarlet Battle Intense Backlash, its fighting attribute was temporarily sealed, leaving it completely drained. However, all of this was worth it. Chapter 366, 223, Fang Kanghai's Laughter. Behind it, the countless corpses of transcendent beings piled up like mountains. They shattered simultaneously, transforming into a rain of light that poured from the sky. Then slowly, they disappeared into thin air. 4-star skill, Halo level Immortal Body. Yes, Halo. Previously not far from reaching the Halo level, Xian, in the midst of a fierce and relentless battle frenzy, took that step. Just like Kankan's Metropolis of Ruin, its proficiency reached the peak level of the leadership stage. Together with the Scarlet Battle Intent that specifically increased the power of fighting expertise skills, Xian was like an incarnate deity, making a witnessing Kankan unconsciously shrink its head. As it turns out, when Big Sis was hitting itself, she was holding back. "You worked hard." Reaching out his hand and gently rubbing Xian's head, Su Ran, who was walking down from the high platform, held the creature showing signs of exhaustion in his arms. On his face, he wore a touch of regret. It was clear to see, Kankan surpassing it to become the top of the combat power list was a big shock to Xian. In the testing process of the overall combat power list, the oppressive sense displayed by Xian was extremely intense. With the power of the Scarlet Battle Intent combined with the breakthrough of the Halo level 4-star fighting expertise skill Immortal Body, Xian's power didn't seem like it was at the leadership level. Meow tilde, I can become stronger. Xian rubbed against Su Ran's palm. Though its face was full of exhaustion, its eyes still carried the burning desire for battle. It had not tried using the crimson gold electroplating and Scarlet Battle Intent at the same time. Otherwise, it would have been able to display even greater power. Try not to use both skills simultaneously. Su Ran, realizing Xian's idea, softly said, both of these skills currently have significant side effects. The backlash from using them together is even bigger. It isn't necessary unless it's an absolutely desperate situation. Meow tilde, all right, all right. Hearing Su Ran's words, Xian obediently nodded its head, the burning desire in its eyes slightly dimming. Then it glanced at Kankan, who had shrunk and obediently stayed aside. It nodded in satisfaction. Good, it seemed that little brother Kankan finally understood who was the strongest in the team. So what if there was the combat power list? That was all just empty fame. Su Ran smiled, then lifted his head to look at the test results that had popped up at some unknown time. Pet Beast Team Combat Power, 392,398. If he remembered correctly, Fang Yuling's Pet Beast Team Combat Power was 38,000 or so. So did this mean he was now number 1 in all 3 lists? We should leave now. Su Ran turned to look at the 3 little ones, who also wore expressions of excitement. If we stay any longer, Fang Yuling might come give us trouble. Meow, if she comes, we'll hit her. Xian in Su Ran's arms menacingly waved its paw. At this moment, it had absolute confidence that it could coordinate with Star and Kankan to defeat Fang Yuling's 3 pet beasts. However, the next moment, Xian felt a wave of intense exhaustion rushing towards it. Oh right, it had almost forgotten that it was still in the backlash phase. Meow, a strategic retreat will fight again next time. Looking at the weak Xian, Star and Kankan agreed and nodded their heads. The person and his 3 pets walked out of testing area C02 while joking around. However, as soon as they emerged, their laughter ceased the moment they saw the figure waiting outside. Just as expected. Speak of Cao Cao and Cao Cao arrives. Looking at Fang Yuling, whose expression could not be deciphered, Su Ran gave a light cough and was about to speak when he saw the woman turn around and leave without uttering a single word. Eh? Watching the hastily retreating Fang Yuling, an expression of contemplation emerged on Su Ran's face. Everything else was easy to deal with, but she wouldn't stop fostering her pet beasts at the shop anymore, would she? At the top floor of the grand main building of the Beast Master Association, in a super large office, a robust man with firm and steadfast features was sitting at his desk and carefully examined the files in his hand. Tab, tab, tab. The frantic knocking on the door broke his reading rhythm. Come in. The man put down the files in his hand, calmly massaging his temples in an attempt to alleviate the fatigue from dealing with matters over the past few days. President. As the office door was pushed open, a middle-aged man quickly stepped forward, a look of respect on his face. The replies from the other second-level towns have arrived. Let me see. On hearing his subordinate's report, an interested look crossed the man's face. He took a stack of letters from him, opening and browsing through them one by one. While the man was reading, his subordinate stood nearby, a barely concealed look of awe and admiration in his eyes. In the Xian City Beast Master Association, only one person was referred to as the president. He was the strongest in Xian City, the only Emperor-level Beast Master Fang Kanghai. After reading the letters, a hint of helplessness appeared on Fang Kanghai's face. He shook his head slightly. It seems that these key towns have already secretly formed alliances. We humans, living within the beast field, ought to band together in the face of such a crisis. However, some believe that I have ulterior motives, as if my ambitions have spiraled out of control. Heh. Fang Kanghai shook his head again. We all reside within the shining Holy Kingdom, under the jurisdiction of the first-level capital, Broken Abyss City. As a mere Emperor-level Beast Master, do they think I could cause an upheaval? President, it appears that they are measuring the depth of a well with their own warped yardsticks. The middle-aged man chimed in. However, their proposed plan. Agree to their terms. Fang Kanghai declared calmly. They think that leadership-level beast masters are ants, insufficient to display the strength of second-level towns. They want to exchange resources between general-level and king-level beast masters. Then let them come. Fang Kanghai's face gradually turned serious. I can feel that an old friend from deep within the beast zone, No 47, is growing restless. An alliance is necessary. Yes, the middle-aged man nodded heavily. Hugh, throwing the last envelope onto the table, Fang Kanghai rubbed his temples again. Let's talk about something lighter. There haven't been many pieces of good news lately. At Fang Kanghai's words, a hint of hesitation and curiosity appeared on the middle-aged man's face. Speaking of lighter matters, I did hear something on the way here, though I'm not sure if it's good news. Oh, do tell. Fang Kanghai glanced at his subordinate who had been with him for over 10 years. Stop beating about the bush. Yes, the middle-aged man nodded. Yu Ling has been dethroned as the #1 on the leadership-level Beast Master list. Oh, on hearing the news, Fang Kanghai didn't look unhappy. Instead, he laughed. Interesting. Someone surpassing Yu Ling in the leadership-level ranking is quite impressive. Fang Kanghai looked intrigued. Tell me, which genius Beast Master managed this? The association can't afford to lose such talents. We need to provide them with more resources. Well, on hearing Fang Kanghai's question, the subordinate's look became even more peculiar. If it were a talented beast master from Xian City, that wouldn't be an issue. But the person who surpassed Fang Yuling, that person is from Qingju City, the same Su Ran who defeated all the leadership-level beast masters from Xian City at the recent exchange event. What? On Fang Kanghai's face, for once, something other than calmness appeared. Speaking of which, the revolt initiated by the alliance of other second-level towns was not entirely unrelated to Su Ran. After all, in their letters, they mentioned the fact that all the leadership-level beast masters from Xian City were beaten by a beast master from a mere third-level town. That kid. Fang Kanghai tapped on his desk with his finger, a contemplative look on his face. This beast master named Su Ran, who participated in the exchange event, was even a few years younger than his daughter. A prodigy like this could not possibly have been nurtured in a third-level town. Where on earth did he come from? As he continued his pondering, Fang Kanghai suddenly chuckled. Regardless, Yu Ling finally has appeared to target, and doesn't have to be obsessed with surpassing her father's rank on the historical rankings. President, do we need to probe this Su Ran? The subordinate asked for instructions. No need, Fang Kanghai laughed. He's just a leadership-level beast master. We'll observe him a little longer. Chapter II, Go Go Go. Chapter 367, 224 Call from Kingju City. As it turned out, Su Ran had been overthinking. Upon returning to the foster shop, he saw Fang Yuling's 3 beasts that were sponging off his food. She hadn't stopped lodging her pet beasts in the shop just because he had stolen her first place. This put Su Ran at ease. Dinner is served. Accompanied by the clanging sound of the iron pot and spoon echoing throughout the foster area, Su Ran, who had just ascended with the 3 little ones to the top of the Beast Master Leader rankings, returned to his role as a foster shop owner, serving nutritious and delicious food to the well-behaved, lined-up pet beasts. With a smile in his eyes observing every foster care resident's mental and physical condition, his gaze finally rested on a vacant piece of land. Over the past half a month, this piece of land belonged to a somewhat special pet beast that suppressed its own nature due to its deep sense of guilt, ultimately gaining its own chance here. Combat verbal has left, huh? Su Ran sighed softly. Unless there are any unforeseen circumstances, its beast master will no longer let it be fostered. With the assistance of the Beast Master Association and the Transcendent Evolution Department, they will no longer encounter difficulties. He wondered if he would have the chance to meet it again in the future. Let's go upstairs. After the 3 little ones had helped clean up the food bowls of the foster care residents, Su Ran spoke softly. 1 person and 3 pets, carrying the exhaustion of the day, walked from the basement to the first-floor shop. Just as they were about to go up the stairs to the second floor, a crisp and pleasant sound was heard. Ding-dong tilde. Whose phone is it? Su Ran instinctively pulled out his own phone. Seeing that there were no notifications on it, he suddenly came to his senses. No, wait. This ringtone isn't from his own phone. Su Ran swiftly turned his head to look at the landline phone sitting on the counter of the foster shop, an antiquated and mysterious model that appeared to be no more than a decorative piece. Indeed, over the past half-month of operation, this landline phone was basically just a decorative item. Up until now, only 1 person could get through to it. Teacher Tony. What's happened in Kingju City? Su Ran looked at the 3 little ones, then swiftly walked over to the landline and picked up the receiver. From the other end of the receiver came Tony's familiar and clear voice, carrying its usual buoyancy and deep resonance. Hey tilde boss, it's been half a month, have you missed me? Not really. Hearing Tony's off-key greeting as always, Su Ran suddenly calmed down. You are calling because... As the first system store manager appointed by the boss, I must show my loyalty from time to time. So now your faithful store manager Tony is going to report on the operation of Starfair Foster Care Shop in Kingju City for the past half-month. Oh, that's good, Su Ran nodded slightly. Although he's constantly receiving the store's income from Kingju City Foster Shop in the form of pleasure value, skill points, physical points, and skill fragments minus employee share, he is indeed somewhat concerned about what's been happening in Kingju City Foster Shop over the past half-month. Anyway, that was the shop he personally ran for 2 to 3 months, the place where it all began. Go ahead, what has been happening with the shop in Kingju City in the past half-month? All right, hearing Su Ran's approving response, Teacher Tony's voice raised even higher as if he was injected with chicken blood. Next, your beloved Tony will give you a rundown on the operations. In the past half-month, the shop has provided pet beast cleaning and caring services 596 times, including 142 times for small pet beasts, 197 times for medium-sized pet beasts, 188 times for large pet beasts, and 69 times for super large pet beasts. In the past half-month, the shop has added 87 new residents, including 54 residents who have been staying since then, and currently, there are 97 foster residents. In the past half-month, the total training time for the pet beasts in the shop reached 52.98 hours, successfully completed new skill teaching 12 times, successfully achieved skill proficiency breakthroughs 28 times. And all of this is thanks to the boss. Su Ran 6. Before this, he had always thought that people who fawn over their superiors were detestable, but at this moment, he suddenly experienced the joy of being the boss. Oh, by the way, after reporting the situation, Tony paused for a moment, then slowly spoke. There's one more thing I need to report to you. From the time you left Kingju City to start operating Starfair Foster Care Shop in Xi'an City, a total of 92 customers have expressed their longing for you. These customers are Suzai Xiaojiang Yun Du Heng. Holding the phone, Su Ran patiently listened as Tony recited all 92 names, his expression gradually changing. Among the 92 customers, there were those Su Ran was very familiar with, and those he was not very familiar with but remembered. All of them, without exception, were customers Su Ran had once served in the Starfair Foster Care Shop in Kingju City. Originally, he had always thought that since he was an orphan, besides himself, probably the only people who would care about him were the 3 pet beasts he spent his days with. He never expected that so many people in this world would remember him and even miss him. Tony, can system clerks teleport? Su Ran suddenly asked. Yes, they can. Tony's voice came through the phone. Both system clerks and system store managers have the ability to teleport to any shop, but this ability can only be used with the boss's permission. In other words, as long as you agree, I and the other 2 clerks can appear in any shop. Furthermore, transmission for system clerks and the store manager is free. Understood, Su Ran nodded slightly. He turned around to look at the 3 little ones behind him and began softly after a moment of silence. Tony, you and the other 2 clerks prepare yourselves. After tomorrow, you will be in Xi'an City for a while, and I will be in Kingju City. Certainly, no problem at all, my boss Tilda. Tony's voice was increasingly fervor, as if the prospect of new customers to cater to had excited him immensely. After getting a confirmation from Tony, Su Ran puts down the receiver. Meow, are we going back? Having heard the conversation between Su Ran and Tony, the 3 little ones looked surprised. Xi'an even raised the question proactively. For the 3 little ones, home is wherever Su Ran is. Having stayed in Xi'an City for half a month, apart from Starfair occasionally missing his friends at the Mount Beast breeding base, Xi'an and Cancan had completely forgotten about Kingju City. How happy it is to climb the rankings here every day. Yes, we are going back for a visit. Su Ran smiled and patted Xi'an's head, then looked at Starfair and Cancan, who also looked confused. Don't worry, we won't stay in Kingju City for too long. Tomorrow, you will have a day of ranking. I know there are many rankings that you haven't yet challenged. Tomorrow evening, you won't need to rank in the Beast Master list. You can focus entirely on the Pet Beast ranking. Hearing Su Ran's words, Xi'an quickly turned his eyes towards Cancan. I'll lend you the title of the top-rated combat power for a day. I'll take it back tomorrow. The next Beast Master list weekly settlement is 3 days later, and once the ranking is finished tomorrow, subsequent rankings will hardly change at all. Su Ran paused for a moment. So, we will be back before the weekly settlement after next, which is 10 days from now. Hearing Su Ran's plan, the 3 little ones looked thoughtful. In this way, going back to Kingju City seemingly doesn't affect their rewards for ranking. Besides letting you rank, there's another important reason for our leaving only after tomorrow. Su Ran paused again, a trace of a smile in his voice. The points for the Beast Master that were earned from today's ranking will be credited tomorrow. Kingju City is the place where we first met. There are many people and things that we are familiar with, but it cannot be denied, the resources there are far less abundant than in Xi'an City. So, we need to use Beast Master points to exchange some new resources, to ensure that your combat power will not be affected during our time back in Kingju City. Finally, we're exchanging for a new batch of resources. The 3 little ones were stunned at first, but then their faces soon showed surprise and excitement. It had been more than 10 days since the last time they absorbed and strengthened from the exchanged resources. At this point, they had mastered all the skills contained in the king-level resources that had been exchanged. Under normal circumstances, achieving this step means that they have absorbed about half of the king-level resources. But the reality is, they have absorbed more than 80% of them, and even completely absorbed 1 or 2 of them. So many abundant energies contained in the king-level resources easily let the 3 little ones reach the peak of the leadership stage. Even the physical points allocated today were completely unused. The problem faced by the three little ones is urgent. They need more king-level resources. After this resource distribution, they finally appreciated the goodness of king-level resources. The additional skills gained from these resources have greatly sped up their skill fusion progress. Otherwise, depending only on the skills exchanged from Su Ran would not have been enough. So the exchange of resources must continue. The Beast Master points gained from the previous 2 weekly settlements, from Su Ran's rankings in the 3 leader-level Beast Trainer lists, and the extra points gained from the 3 Cubs' improvements in historical rankings have not been used yet. These points are all recorded by Su Ran, and the amount of points that the 3 Cubs have totaled more than 150,000. Diligently saving up for 1,000 days to extravagantly spend in an instant. After tomorrow, when the points from today's rankings are credited, it's time to exhaust all these points. Let's go upstairs first. Su Ran chuckled, leading the 3 little ones to the 2nd floor. I'll be meditating all night, you guys go to bed first. With the extra meditation speed bonus from the advanced meditation acceleration card, even him, who has always been slack, has become more diligent. After all, it's not easy to win a red item, so he must make good use of it. Su Ran is going to meditate all night. The 3 little ones looked at each other. That's just right. They need to study what king-level resources to exchange for after the points are credited tomorrow. It's settled. No one will go to bed tonight. When I have time, I will be live-streaming writing on Bilibili. Occasionally the cats will appear in the frame. The ID is the same as my pen name. Interested readers can search and follow me. Chapter 368, 225 Special Invitation. The next morning, Su Ran let out a sigh, slowly opening his eyes. Feeling his current condition, his face revealed a hint of surprise. Meditation is quite a strenuous task. Not only does it require clearing out distractions to sense the surrounding forces, it also demands active energy absorption, allowing the energy existing between heaven and earth to merge with contract power, thereby enhancing oneself. Therefore, unlike resting with eyes closed, long-term meditation can lead to consistent fatigue. After reaching a certain extent of meditation, it is necessary to adjust and recover depleted energy through sleep or other rest methods. The purple object that Su Ran previously used, the meditation acceleration card, even though it provides 100-fold speed, it doesn't make Su Ran feel the 100-fold fatigue, nor does it reduce the fatigue caused by normal meditation. Even after using the meditation acceleration card, Su Ran would still normally feel the fatigue. This was why Su Ran could only meditate during the first half of the night and had to sleep during the second half. But now, Su Ran surprisingly found another magical effect of the advanced meditation acceleration card, which was to completely remove the fatigue during the process of meditation. A whole night of meditation, he didn't feel fatigued at all. Instead, he felt very energetic as though he had had a good sleep. This means he can meditate for a longer time in the future. He could only meditate for half the night before, but now he can meditate for the whole night. The meditation time almost doubled, coupled with the 600 times acceleration after the stacking of the 2 different meditation acceleration cards. The efficiency of Su Ran's meditation increased 12 times as much as when he used only the meditation acceleration card. Red reward, terrifyingly effective. It's really advanced. Su Ran mumbled and then turned his head to see the 3 little ones lying beside his bed. The 3 little ones, who used to wake up when he was awake, now are like they have stayed up late. They only slightly moved their bodies when they heard his awakening and then fell back into a deep sleep. His cell phone was placed right next to the 3 little ones. You 3. Su Ran laughed at their antics, guessing they had taken a sneak peek at the king-level resources that could be redeemed with points on his cell phone while he was meditating last night. Without waking them, Su Ran quietly went downstairs after washing up and soon appeared on the basement floor. With the sound of clang, 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 the fostered pet beasts musically filled the entire fosterage space and quickly surrounded Su Ran. Good morning, Su Ran greeted them with a smile, then started serving their food bowls one by one and said, in the following period, I won't be the one preparing your meals. But don't worry, the food will be as delicious as always. Upon hearing Su Ran's words, the residents threw him a curious and surprised look. I will be absent from the shop for a while. Su Ran took a bowl of freshly cooked handmade beef noodles and sat on a stone to eat. You stay here and make yourselves at home during this time." Upon hearing this, a feeling of reluctance showed in the eyes of the fostered pet beasts. They had grown accustomed to eating Su Ran's food and had come to like everything here. Some even didn't want to return to their beast masters anymore. A home away from home. All right. Having quickly finished his noodles and seeing the residents had also finished their meals, Su Ran started to clear the food bowls, then his figure disappeared on the spot. Watching Su Ran's retreating figure, the bright spirit among the beasts blinked with a slight shimmer of light, then nudged the rapid combat bee on one side and the three-headed demon on the other side. The three pet beasts that spent all day together began to communicate quietly in a way they could understand. This human and his three pets surpassed us yesterday. Now that he's leaving, is it our chance to overtake? What are you waiting for? Improve your strength. Among us three, you are the weakest. What? The weakest one is clearly you. The three pet beasts of Fang Yuling argued over who was the weakest and reached a conclusion. Whatever the case, let's tell the beast master about this first. Welcome back. Su Ran waved at another client who had come to receive their pet, smiling on his face. Because he topped the leadership level Beast Master leaderboard last night, there were more customers today than before. Not only that, the previously slowing fame suddenly skyrocketed last night, making its increasing speed fast once again. The rapid increase in fame was due in part to his topping the leadership level Beast Master leaderboard, and more importantly, because he had surpassed Fang Yuling. The former was mostly followed by leadership level Beast Masters, while the latter was followed by beast masters of all levels in Xian City, so naturally, the discussion was much more intense. The genius daughter of Chairman Fang was surpassed by her peer. It's big news. Some even started guessing, how would Chairman Fang react when he heard the news? Main Task 3, out with the old and with the new. Task description. Please have the host open a branch shop in a second-level town and reach 70% local fame, 43.670. Task reward. 3 system clerks, system upgrade experience plus 400. With a 3.6% increase in just one day, Su Ran's smile thickened. Chapter 369, 225 Special Invitation. Hearing a new noise from outside the door, he shifted his gaze from the empty panel in the air and looked towards the newcomer. It was a middle-aged woman with a radiant smile and a strong sense of warmth. She stepped into the shop now, her gaze immediately turning towards Su Ran. "Hello, Boss Su." "Hello, hello," Su Ran hurriedly responded. Just as he was about to say something, his expression slightly changed as he looked towards the stairs leading to the second floor. "You three woke up." The three groggy little ones came down from the second floor and nodded in response to his words. "I'm so sleepy." Su Ran pointed towards the back door. "In the preparation room of the foster area, I have prepared food for you. It's still hot, go eat it quickly." "Meow, let's go." Hearing that there was food, Xian's lethargic face suddenly brightened up. He shouted loudly and was the first to dash towards the back door, closely followed by Star and Can-Can. Sorry for the little interlude just now. Once the three little ones had gone, Su Ran turned back to the middle-aged woman standing in front of the counter. "Welcome. What service do you need?" "Those are your pet beasts, Boss Su. They indeed look extraordinary." The middle-aged woman was not upset by Su Ran's perceived negligence. Smiling, she said, "Let me introduce myself first. I come from Monster Wooden City. My name is Su Qing." Monster Wooden City. A look of surprise appeared on Su Ran's face. He seemed to have heard of the name, but he didn't have any lasting impressions. It's normal if Boss Su hasn't heard of it. Su Qing smiled. Monster Wooden City is the nearest second-level town to Xian City, and I am from the Beast Master Association of Monster Wooden City. SS, Su Ran couldn't help but gasp. It was actually a second-level town. At this moment, Su Ran remembered when he had heard about it. During the previous exchange event representing Qingzhou City, in addition to the 3-level towns that had been invited, there were some second-level towns that had taken the initiative to come. These second-level towns rarely participated. Some didn't even have a beast master make a move throughout. It was as if they had come to watch a show. Monster Wooden City was one of those towns where no beast master participated, which was why Su Ran's impression of it was not deep. "So, what are you looking for me for?" Su Ran's face showed a bit more confusion as he looked at Su Qing, who claimed to be from Monster Wooden City. "This is the situation." Su Qing smiled. As far as I know, Boss Su, you are a beast master from Kingju City, and you don't have any familiar friends or relatives in Xi'an City, right? That's right, Su Ran nodded slightly. Boss Su has opened a branch in Xi'an City, presumably because Kingju City is too weak. Su Qing glanced at the price menu on the wall. In Kingju City, there are very few general-level beastmasters, and there are no king-level beastmasters. Boss Su's shop can foster king-stage pet beasts. It's really a pity to be in a place like Kingju City. So, it's only natural for Boss Su to seek development in a second-level town if he wants to expand his foster shop. What do you mean? Su Ran's expression became more peculiar. Hearing the other party introduce himself, he had initially thought that they were here because of the power he had showcased yesterday, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. We, Monster Wooden City, hope to invite Boss Su to open a foster shop there. Su Qing began in a soft voice. Although Monster Wooden City does not have Emperor-level Beastmasters, it's still strong and has many King-level Beastmasters, enough to meet your business needs, Boss Su. As long as you come, Monster Wooden City can provide you with a shop much larger than this one for free, without any taxes and with multiple supporting. Sorry to interrupt. Su Ran stretched out his hand, his face showing confusion and astonishment. Monster Wooden City hopes that I'll open a shop there. He could understand every word that the other party said, but when put together, he found it difficult to comprehend. While the services provided by Starfare Foster Shop are indeed better than other foster shops, was a representative of the Beast Master Association from a second-level town here just to invite him to open a shop there. Yes. Su Qing nodded, knowing the reason for Su Ran's confusion. She slowly explained. Our Monster Wooden City is different from other second-level towns. There are almost no washing and protection services in Monster Wooden City. Huh? Upon hearing Su Qing's words, a look of surprise appeared on Su Ran's face. Almost no washing and protection service. That shouldn't be the case. The role of washing and protection is not just to maintain the beauty of pet beasts' appearance. It also helps them to maintain their good state. Even in ordinary third-level towns, washing and protection is an essential part of the pet beast services industry. So why doesn't Monster Wooden City, a second-level town, have it? All of this starts with the origin of Monster Wooden City, Su Qing began softly. Our Monster Wooden City and other second-level towns in Beast Zone No. 47 have a stark difference in their origins. Origins? Su Ran couldn't help raising his ears. Yes, Su Qing nodded slightly. Monster Wooden City is located within the territory of an Emperor-stage transcendent being. Although there aren't any Emperor-level Beastmasters, we did gain the protection of that transcendent being, allowing us to thrive in the beast field. Within the territory of an Emperor-stage transcendent being, Su Ran almost thought he had misheard. Both pet beasts of beastmasters and the transcendent beings outside the city are transcendent beings, but beings that have or used to have beastmasters. Humans are more accustomed to calling them pet beasts. So the Emperor-stage transcendent being Su Qing spoke of could be a wild transcendent being, aka the Beast Emperor of the beast field. A Beast Emperor protecting humans. As he contemplated, Su Ran's eyebrows couldn't help but wrinkle slightly. Indeed, Su Qing nodded slightly. That Emperor-stage transcendent being is a towering tree. Its race name is sky-touching mysterious wood. Among the transcendent beings in the beast field, there are those who do not harbor hatred towards humans, and it is one of them. Strictly speaking, the sky-touching mysterious wood maintains a friendly relationship with all beings, greatly favoring peace, and does not allow disputes and killings within its territory. The sky-touching mysterious wood itself is a healing-type beast emperor. It can produce dew with washing and protection effects and give it to all the beings in its territory free of charge. There are even such transcendent beings. Su Ran felt enlightened. At the same time, his confusion about why there were almost no washing and protection services in Monster Wooden City was also resolved. A beast emperor's dew, which must surely have excellent washing and protection effects, would make any washing and protection services in the fosterage shops of Monster Wooden City redundant. Demand determines the market, that's just how it is. However, Su Ran still had a doubt. Then, why are you inviting me to set up shop in Monster Wooden City now? Because. A hint of helplessness crept onto Su Qing's face. The sky-touching mysterious wood hasn't produced any cleaning and protecting dew for more than 3 months now. There seems to be some issue with its state. Since we haven't developed washing and protection services before, the fosterage shops in the city can't deal with such a huge demand in a short period. Therefore, we have to invite foster shops from other cities to settle in to help address the urgent need. So that's what it was. Suran stroked his chin, appearing contemplative. He had understood the reasons for the unusual invitation. It seemed like a good opportunity. Greater demand would mean more pleasure value he would earn. But opening another branch in Monster Wooden City would mean having to temporarily close one of his current shops. After all, apart from himself, there were only 3 system employees who could operate the stores. The shop in Xi'an City couldn't be closed, since his main task 3 hadn't been completed yet. The shop in Qingzhou City couldn't be easily closed either, as it is where everything began. Besides, he had made up his mind to go back there for a while tomorrow. Probably only when the fame of his store in Xi'an City reached 70%, and he got 3 new system employees, could he consider going to Monster Wooden City. So, I'm sorry I can't leave for now. Chapter 370, 226, Return to Qingzhou City. In that case, I hope Boss Su will consider us first when planning to open a new branch in the future. Upon being refused outright by Su Ran, Su Qing did not appear overly disappointed. She left her contact information, stated that she would be staying in Xi'an City for a while, and then walked out of the foster shop. Monster Wooden City, huh? Watching Su Qing leaving, Su Ran tapped his index finger on the desk as if lost in thought. He had been contemplating where to open a new branch after the end of his main task 3, and after acquiring his 3 new employees. Now, he seemed to have found a good option. Keeping this unique second-level town in mind, and welcoming the next customer who walked in, he once again displayed a polite smile. Welcome. Thank you for coming, hope to see you next time. Having just seen off the last customer of the day, Su Ran stretched and looked towards the 3 eager little ones gathered by his side. Tell me, how did you 3 do in the ranking today? Upon hearing Su Ran initiate the inquiry, the 3 little ones immediately perked up. Each took their turn, bragging about their achievements in the day's rankings. The first was Xian, who utilized its full power in the Pet Beast Combat Power list, overtaking Cancan, who had barely warmed the top spot, returning to the top of the Combat Power list as expected. Its historical ranking also rushed to 3rd place all at once. This resulted in an addition of 40,000 Beast Master points. Moreover, the 3 little ones performed remarkably on the other lists that they hadn't had time to rank in yesterday. Almost all the rankings had improved significantly, and the Beast Master points each had accrued ranged from 10 to 20,000. After patiently listening to the detailed exploits of the 3 in the day's ranking, Su Ran gently patted each of them on the head. You all did very well. So, now we can exchange these points for resources. He waved the cell phone in his hand. Yesterday's Beast Master points have been credited, and a portion of today's points have also come in. As for the remaining that haven't been credited, we will take care of them next time. Up until now, Xian has 190,000 Beast Master points, Cancan has 170,000, and Star has 160,000. These Beast Master points will be exchanged for corresponding King-level resources today. He paused briefly, then looked at the 3 eager little faces. You guys should have prepared quite a bit yesterday, right? Meow, I've already decided what to exchange. Xian raised one of its paws, speaking excitedly. Just with a rough estimate in its mind of its current Beast Master points and the few valuable resources it had picked out the day before, it already had a concrete idea of what to exchange. This was the benefit of doing homework in advance. All right, then let's start with Xian. Su Ran nodded, then opened the Beast Master Association's points exchange page. Star and Cancan, who were about to open their mouths, exchanged looks and shook their heads in resignation. As expected from Xian, who topped the reflexes list, its response was much faster than theirs. But the exchange of resources wasn't a distribution of resources. The Beast Master points they were using were each their own, and the resources they were exchanging for had no conflicts. There was no need to compete. So they decided to first see what resource Big Sister had decided to exchange for. Meow Tilda, I want Qinglei Crystal's secret method Broken Ring, Rapid Electric Leg Bone, Thunder Roar Liquid, and Meteor Split Beast Claw. Almost without hesitation, Xian named the resources it wished to have, and went over to Su Ran's side. It extended its long tail to point out on the screen where each item was located. It was evident that it has done quite a bit of homework. After reviewing the 5 resources that Xian wanted to exchange for, a hint of surprise appeared on Su Ran's face. Out of the 5 resources, except for Thunder Roar Liquid, which was worth 30,000 Beast Master Points, the rest were all worth 40,000 Beast Master Points, top resources at the King level. The Qinglei Crystal imparts a skill called Thunder Force Refinement. The effect of this skill is simple. It amplifies the attack power of Thunder attribute pet beasts by purifying them. In this regard, it is similar to the effects of Crimson Gold Electroplating, only without the severe side effects. As Xian has never fused Crimson Gold Electroplating and Scarlet Battle Intent, the reason for choosing this resource now is quite clear. Which talent skill are you planning to use for this fusion of 3 skills? Su Ran asked curiously. At first he thought Xian would fuse Scarlet Battle Intent into Fighting Body, but it seems Xian has a new idea. Hearing Su Ran's question, Xian's eyes brimmed with smugness. Meow tilde, Heartfelt Strike. This skill, Su Ran's surprise deepened. Heartfelt Strike is a 2-star fighting attribute skill that Xian awakened after evolving. By consuming more power, it can deal more lethal blows to enemies. In this regard, the skill is indeed very suitable for the other 3 skills. But Su Ran couldn't imagine what the result would be when 4 burst-type skills, 2 of which had severe adverse effects, were fused together. His gaze then moved onto the other 4 resources that Xian had chosen. The corresponding secret method Broken Ring imparts a fighting attribute 3-star skill called Broken Brand. This skill can leave a special brand on the opponent after an attack, thus causing continuous damage. This bears some similarities to Star's Echo of Midnight. In the case of Xian having a large number of offensive skills, this skill could be well adapted to many others, making it a good choice. The Rapid Electric Leg Bone corresponds to the Thunder attribute 3-star skill, Rapid Electric Shadow. From its name alone, it can be discerned that this is a speed skill, which could be fused with Step on electric traces. Thunder Roar Liquid and Meteor Split Beast Claw correspond respectively to the 3-star skills Thunder Shake Earth and Meteor Split Claw. The former can pair with Thunder Shake Heavenly Sound, while the latter matches with Destruction Thunder Claw. Suddenly considering something, Su Ran turned his head to look at Xian. How do you intend to deal with the skills Puncture Thunder Spear and Thunder Penalty Gun? Meow Falling Thunder. Xian wore an accomplished look on his face. He already had plans for the skills that had been idling previously. Both of these skills are remote single-target attack skills, extremely similar to Falling Thunder. In this case, fusing them together would be the best choice. What about Super Phase Field? Meow King's Power. Xian answered smoothly. This is an inspiration he had gained from Cancan. As a skill similar to a domain, Super Phase Field is not quite suitable for fusion with his other current skills, but King's Power is an exception. King's Power is a range suppression skill that's quite suitable for fusion with Super Phase Field. Just as Cancan fused Dragon Blood Horn with King's Power, Xian could add other abilities into King's Power through fusion. All right, Su Ran nodded, then turned his gaze to Star after completing the exchange. What do you want to exchange for? Xilu Tilde, Twilight Crystal, Everburning Night Flame, Fading Night Tracing Stone, Solidifying Silk Thread. Finally, it was his turn. Star impatiently stated the resources he wanted to exchange for. Okay, Su Ran nodded, indicating that he understood and then began to check. The Twilight Crystal corresponds to the 3-star skill Dark Curtain. This skill is a range hide skill, capable of making a certain range around the caster hidden. Are you planning to combine this skill with the Night Rune? Su Ran became thoughtful as he looked at the skill's description. Xilu, yes. Star nodded slightly. Although the hiding effect of this skill could only be centered on the caster, the skill's effect might change after being combined with the Night Rune. If it could become a skill that hides the object possessing the Night Rune, then the compatibility of this skill with the Night Rune would be perfect. Worth trying. After hearing Star's idea, Su Ran nodded in agreement before turning to look at the remaining skills. The Everburning Night Flame corresponds to a dark attribute burst skill called Night Flame. This skill can burn the caster's own dark power for a short-term increase in strength, and there are virtually no side effects. The one that it could pair with is probably the Heart of Eternal Night. After all, Star had previously planned to fuse Star Falling Power and Quiet Night Breath with Heart of Eternal Night. If Night Flame is added, that would make 4 3-star skills. The Fading Night Tracing Stone corresponds to the 3-star skill Night Curtain Fading Trace. It's a speed skill. Undoubtedly, Star intends to combine this skill with Moon Concealment Star Racing. The Solidifying Silk Thread corresponds to the skill called Solidified Tether. Its function is somewhat similar to Faded Chains. It allows power to be transferred from one party to another. But compared to Faded Chains, Solidified Tether is much slower in transferring power. However, it has a special effect that the link between the two parties is very stable and will not weaken as the distance increases. Obviously, this is a skill meant to be combined with Faded Star Pulling. It enhances the stability of the skill tether, which is crucial under certain conditions. These 4 resources are also quite good. Exchanged. Su-Ran nodded approvingly and then turned his gaze towards Kankan. Unlike her last hesitant time, this time Kankan also had a clear target. Charming. I want to exchange for refining bone dragon marrow, hard soil core, unbreakable stone, and fortified ground. Listing out the resources she wanted, Kankan's face was full of anticipation. Refining bone dragon marrow corresponds to the skill Dragon's Breath. She plans to fuse this skill and true dragon reverse scale into Dragon Turtle's power. The other 3 resources correspond to the Earth attribute 3-star skills Unshakable Fortitude, Unbreakable Force, and Soil, Strengthening respectively. All 3 skills make Earth attribute power even more solid. As for their use, of course, it is to boost Eternal Iron Wall and make herself more resistant to beating. Thinking about the power of a full force slap from Xian, Kankan couldn't help but shrink her head back. Before she could merge any defensive 4-star skills, she had to behave herself. All right, noticing Kankan's thoughts, Su-Ran chuckled, finishing the exchange of all resources. Then anticipation flickered in his eyes. When the resources arrive tomorrow morning, we'll head back to Kingju City. Chapter 371, 227. You scoundrel, you finally came back. Boss Tilda. Wearing a saucy pink apron with lace borders and a heart-shaped opening at the chest, there was an excited and overjoyed expression in Teacher Tony's eyes, as if he wanted to give Su-Ran a big hug. All right, Teacher Tony, you can spare us the reception ceremony. Su-Ran expressionlessly pushed away his open arms, then subconsciously wiped his hands on his pants. The opening time of the Starfair foster care shop in Xian City is fast approaching. From today, the management for the upcoming period will be handed over to you guys. No problem, my dear Boss Tilda, unperturbed by Su-Ran's resistance, Teacher Tony, riding the momentum from being pushed, spun on the spot, then quickly made a heart shape with his thumb and index finger. I will abide by all your requests, Tilda. A twitch played at the corner of Su-Ran's mouth as he watched Tony and the man in black behind him, as well as the green-skinned frog, disappear on the spot. He then heaved a quiet sigh of relief. He suddenly felt that the 2 system clerks that didn't speak were pretty good, despite their odd appearances. Regaining his senses, Su-Ran couldn't help but take a look around. Even though there wasn't much difference in the decorations within the Starfair foster care shops in Xian City and Kingju City, his familiarity with his own shop in Kingju City allowed him to clearly feel that they were different. Returning here, there was an unprecedented feeling of being home. Well, Su-Ran shook his head and let out a soft chuckle, then gently placed the alloy box he had been carrying all along on the counter. This was what the powerhouse from the Beast Master Association in Xian City had delivered early in the morning. It contained the king-level resources that the 3 little ones had exchanged for the previous day. During their time in Kingju City, these resources would be the capital for the 3 little ones to improve. So now, it was time to bring the 3 little ones over too. In a flash of thought, the hexagram star array behind Su-Ran started to shine. The figures of the 3 little ones traversed thousands of miles, appearing instantaneously in the Starfair foster care shop in Kingju City. As soon as they appeared, Xian started looking around the shop left and right, then with one light hop, jumped onto a corner of the counter. This corner had been its usual haunt. From the first day it encountered Su-Ran, it had stayed there. It had become a habit. In Xian City, Xian had often stayed in a similar place in the shop, but the two weren't quite the same. Yawning lazily, Xian comfortably tucked its paws into its chest, squinting its eyes slightly, a contented expression on its face. Meow Tilda, this place is more comfortable. Xilu Tilda, we are finally back. Star burst into a neigh, with anticipation shining in its eyes. It remembered that it had left something in the foster care shop here. It was the stone it used to account for Xian and Star earlier. Before having this stone, it had the highest wealth among them. After reaching Xian City, Star had been the poorest of them in both resource distributions. This must have something to do with it leaving the stone behind. This time, it wouldn't forget to carry the stone with it. Thinking of this, Star was already eager to try and see if the stone was still there. Charming, going to see the velvet sparrow. Can shook its head excitedly, a look of anticipation on its face. As the youngest of the three little ones, it unexpectedly got along well with the velvet sparrow. Every time the velvet sparrow mentioned things happening outside of the city, Can was extremely interested. Can's many discoveries while scavenging rubbish outside the city was also connected to the velvet sparrow's guidance. Finally able to meet its good friend again, Can couldn't wait to share its experiences in the second-level town with the velvet sparrow. "Let's go, we should first go feed the tenants in the store." After stretching his back, Ran led the three little ones through the familiar route towards the back door. As the three system clerks left to take over his work in Xian City, the tenant limit in the Qingzhou City Starfair foster care shop was once again reduced. But for the sake of customer experience, the extra part of the foster clients couldn't just be sent back directly. Fortunately, Teacher Tony solved this problem through reasonable arrangement and a tiny bit of black technology from the system. The part of foster tenants that exceeded the limit were still within the foster area, but were being fed by the green-skinned frog clerk who shuttled between the two places. Ran had already handed over to the green-skinned frog clerk. The familiar tenants he had previously fed were all entrusted to him, and the remaining spots were filled with tenants who had moved in after he left. All the tenants exceeding the limit were those who moved in after Ran left, and the green-skinned frog clerk was responsible for feeding them. As for the washing and protection and accompanying training, the impact of the clerk's departure on these was relatively small. Ran and the system clerk maintained the shop, and the impact was minimal. In a jiffy, a man and three pets effortlessly reached the underground level. Soon enough, the clanking sound of the spatula hitting the iron pot echoed throughout the foster space. Upon hearing this sound, the pet beasts, which were set to be fed by Ran, all looked up towards the sound. Having grown accustomed to the slightly mechanical style of feeding by the green-skinned frog clerk, they sensed an anomaly at once. The pace and pitch of the clanking was different. As the new tenants were still puzzled, the old tenants who had been fed by Ran before all showed expectant looks. Was that human back? Chapter 372, 227 Ghost, you finally came back. With this thought in mind, they each charged in the direction of the voice. A few moments later, two figures appeared before Ran. Staring at the dark speed leopard with a trace of confusion on its face, standing their ground, and the velvet sparrow that had nonchalantly jumped off its head, a hint of helplessness crept onto Ran's face. "I've told you, don't use the order of no conquest lightly." The velvet sparrow that had landed ignored him and stared unblinkingly at Ran and the three little ones behind him. After a while, it couldn't resist raising its wing to wipe its eye corner. "Chirp Tilda, you guys might as well not come back." "Really?" Seeing the tsundere-like attitude of the velvet sparrow, Ran chuckled and retrieved a food bowl from behind him. "I prepared a special breakfast for you. Won't you taste it?" The velvet sparrow huffed and turned its head to the side. "Chirp Tilda, the food made by the big bullfrog isn't bad either." "That's different." Ran pushed the food bowl towards the velvet sparrow. "Try it." The velvet sparrow didn't turn its head back, yet the nostrils at the end of its beak twitched slightly. A passing glint of astonishment flashed in its eyes before it picked up the food bowl silently and walked away. Seeing the velvet sparrow no longer being pettish, Ran then turned his attention to the other residents that had come up, with excitement in their eyes. "It's been a while, time for lunch." Amid a string of cheers, the food bowls were quickly distributed. Mid the crowd of beasts, the velvet sparrow was savoring the food in the bowl. It was unknown why, though the food made by the big bullfrog already tasted so good, when compared to Ran's food, it seemed to lack something. Thinking of its disconcerting behavior just now, the velvet sparrow felt somewhat frustrated. On its way here, it had planned to at least sever ties with him for a day if it was truly Ran coming back, but the taunting breakfast had lured it in. "Damn it!" Chirp Tilda, long time no see, velvet sparrow. Can brought its giant bowl over to the velvet sparrow's side. The velvet sparrow stole a glance at Can-Can, a trace of astonishment in its eyes. Even though it had shrunk its body to its smallest, compared to the petite size of the velvet sparrow, Can-Can was still several sizes larger. As an elite-level pet beast, it couldn't perceive the current power level of Can-Can clearly, but its sixth sense, attributed to its super ability, told it that the strength of the guy before it had increased again over the half-month, and by a lot. This guy, who has just completed the evolution and broken into the leader stage, why is his power still progressing so fast? Chirp, what have you guys been doing this past half-month? Upon hearing this from the velvet sparrow, a hint of excitement flashed on Can-Can's face. It was just thinking of how to make the velvet sparrow ask, and lo and behold, the velvet sparrow cooperated. Chirp Tilda, we went to Zion City, it's so big. Can-Can was munching down its food, while sharing about its experience in the past half-month with its good friend. Even though the occasional splashing of food remains made the velvet sparrow show a face of disgust, its actions were still very serious when listening to the story. Before long, both Can-Can and the velvet sparrow had finished their food, and Can-Can's narration had also come to an end. Though the content told by Can-Can was only what it could tell the velvet sparrow, these alone had given the velvet sparrow a sense of yearning. Just Kingju City had given it a lot of fun feelings. It had been here for almost a month, not once feeling bored. Each day it went out of the shop for a stroll, there were always new things to discover and experience. From Can-Can's narrative, it got a glimpse of what the bigger human cities look like. Upon ranking, one may receive a lot of rewards from the beast trainer ranking, and there was even a list for the individual pet beasts. Then if it made a move, how high a ranking would it be able to achieve? The velvet sparrow couldn't help but let its thoughts wander, but after a moment it proceeded to shake its head helplessly. It's not a pet beast after all, and it didn't have a way to travel such a long distance to Zion City. How infuriating. These guys went out to enjoy themselves behind its back and didn't even take it along. Meow Tilda finished eating. Zion, who was not far away, raised her head from the empty food bowl and walked towards Can-Can. Seeing the familiar fluffy velvet sparrow, it couldn't help but move its paws again. Its fierce and evil appearance made the velvet sparrow tremble and hide behind Can-Can. Noticing that her impulse had once again caused a misunderstanding, Zion silently withdrew her paws and showed a friendly smile to the velvet sparrow. Meow Tilda, long time no see Tilda. The velvet sparrow shivered. Damn it, is she trying to dull my vigilance? All right. After all the pet beasts finished their meals, Suran quickly cleared up the food bowls and looked at the three little ones. You guys take your resources and start training. I'm off to open the shop. A smile spread across Suran's face. I wonder if the first customer of the day will be a familiar face. Tilda. A petite young girl stood in front of the door of Starfair Foster Care Shop in Kingju City, cradling a red fox in her arms. At this moment, her face was creased with doubt and helplessness. The flame fox had been diligently training all this while. However, this had resulted in a rapid increase in the necessity for washing and care. The flame fox, which initially required washing and care once a month, now required it almost every week. Any dirt and grime from training would affect its performance and subsequent training efficiency if not cleaned. Today, it was time to provide washing and care for the flame fox again. But I really don't want to see Teacher Tony again, Su Xiaoxiao said, somewhat exasperated. Rubbing her forehead, she looked at the flame fox in her arms. Little Flame, can we come back tomorrow? Meow Tilda. The flame fox shook its head in a manner that was elegant yet firm. After numerous wash and care sessions at Starfair Foster Care Shop, it had grown to love cleanliness. The present dirtiness had reached its limit of tolerance, and any more delay would cause it to explode from frustration. All right, Su Xiaoxiao sighed, looking up at the sky. Do you like Teacher Tony washing and caring for you that much? Meow. Upon hearing Su Xiaoxiao's soul-searching question, the flame fox fell silent for a moment and showed a rare look of indecision. Did it really like it? It truly didn't know. Teacher Tony's appearance did not conform to its aesthetic standards for humans. Moreover, Tony's rough hands could not compare to Su Xiaoxiao's delicate and smooth ones. Even for a fox beast like it, Tony's boisterous yet effeminate voice felt awkward. In essence, accepting washing and care from such a human was always a weird and repellent experience. But all that disappeared with the relaxing and joyous feeling those rough hands provided during the washing and care process. It was a joy that it couldn't resist. So, Meow. Yes, it liked it. At Su Xiaoxiao's expression of shock, the flame fox nodded vigorously. What? Su Xiaoxiao looked like she was about to cry. What a calamity. What calamity. The shop door opened at that instant, revealing Su Ran, who had overheard Su Xiaoxiao's remark. A look of curiosity came over his face. Su Xiaoxiao. She stood still for a moment, looking at the familiar figure at the entrance of the shop. After rubbing her eyes to make sure she wasn't seeing things, her face lit up with surprise, replacing her hesitation and reluctance. Boss Su, you're back. Yes, I'm back for a while. Su Ran nodded. His heart warmed a few degrees seeing Su Xiaoxiao as the first customer since his return to Qingju City shop. The flame fox is here for a wash and care, isn't it? Yes, yes, Su Xiaoxiao nodded vigorously, and then seeming to remember something, suddenly asked, Boss Su, is Teacher Tony here? The flame fox seems to like Teacher Tony's wash and care more. Flame fox. Meow. What's this beast master talking about? If given the choice, I'd choose Boss Su. The flame fox stretched out a paw and forcefully nudged Su Xiaoxiao's cheek. That might not be possible. Looking at the flame fox's refusal, Su Ran chuckled and shook his head. Teacher Tony has gone to manage the Xian City shop. Su Xiaoxiao smiled brightly. Is that so? What a pity. Chapter 373, 228 Boss Su. Who the hell are you? Boss Su, how long will you be staying here? As they walked inside the shop together, Su Xiaoxiao couldn't help but ask. She understood that since Su Ran had already opened a shop in Xian City, it would be hard for him to stay in a small place like Qingju City for long. He'd probably leave again. After a while this time he's back. I plan to stay for about 9 days, Su Ran paused, assuming there are no unexpected occurrences. All right, said Su Xiaoxiao, her face dimming slightly. Even though she had speculated, receiving a definite response from Su Ran still left her somewhat reluctant to let go. Considering this, the next grooming of the flame fox would also be personally handled by Boss Su. Thinking this, Su Xiaoxiao felt a bit comforted in her heart. She had to share this great news with her good sisters as soon as possible, making sure they get all the services they need before Su Ran leaves. Do you need to accompany the grooming? Su Ran asked, taking the flame fox from Su Xiaoxiao just like before. No, no. Su Xiaoxiao took out her cell phone and started furiously tapping out messages. Little Flame can take care of himself. All right, Su Ran nodded, bringing the flame fox into the grooming room. Before long, from the grooming room echoed a melodious, faint and vague sound. Mew tilde tilde tilde. Having notified all her sisters, Su Xiaoxiao paused, a look of reminiscence on her face. Ah tilde. He's back. They're all back. The familiar feeling of Boss Su's grooming has finally returned. When Tony was grooming the flame fox before, although it also made similar sounds, this time was different, as if there was a bit more resistance and resignation. Not to mention, mixed in the sound was the equally loud voice of Tony. It was unbearable for the ears. Relaxing in the Beast Master resting room, Su Xiaoxiao opened a bag of chips, eating them to the sound of the flame fox's melody, a satisfied smile appearing on her face. That feeling was fantastic. It wasn't long before Su Ran, holding the newly refreshed flame fox, exited and said, Thank you for your patronage. Boss Su, I've already told Gu Ling and the others that you're back. Su Xiaoxiao happily took the flame fox, rubbing her cheek abundantly against the silky smooth fur, then began to speak. That's very kind of you, thanks, Su Ran responded with a smile. Bumping into these familiar customers in Qingju City was really a pleasant surprise. Next up, let's push harder together. Inside the Starfare foster care shop in Xian City, Teacher Tony, still wearing that pink apron, flexed his muscular biceps and shouted, Our new shop needs our care and protection. We need to greet our brand new customers with our best spirit. Tony turned his gaze toward the silent figure in the corner, a constant sinister smile on his face. Little Black, have you gathered intel? The cloaked figure in black nodded slightly, one eye slightly squinted, and the other widened with excitement. Combined with the grin creeping up one side of his face, he gave off the air of a criminal suspect. He produced a shiny dagger out of nowhere and began to wave it around, causing the illusion that blood would spatter on his face any second. Very well. Somehow discerning some sort of message from the black-clad figure's actions, Tony nodded approvingly. The boss has reached the top of the leaderboard of the Beast Master Association. the customer flow will increase in the short term. And what we need to do is, Tony extended a hand, rotating it in the air before curling into a fist, to seize the opportunity. Green-skinned frog, how are things on your end? Tony turned his gaze to the green-skinned frog, who was also silent. After about 3 seconds, the green-skinned frog slowly turned towards Tony and slowly raised the stick on which hung many frog dolls. At this moment, only a single frog doll remained on the stick. In front of Tony, the green-skinned frog took off the last frog doll and then threw it into its mouth. Frogs also get hungry. Very good, it seems you have already fed all the pets being fostered once. Tony nodded in satisfaction. What was their reaction? Remember, we want to give the pet beasts staying here a warm home-like feeling. A home-like warmth. The green-skinned frog tilted its head to the side after 3 seconds, a look of contemplation flashing through its intelligent eyes. Giving its own offspring to the pets being fostered was like giving them the warmth of a home. Although a few pets had shown resistance, they had been turned around through its influence. The green-skinned frog gently touched the stick in its hand, nodding vigorously. Super warm. Very good, Tilda, Teacher Tony laughed heartily. Then let's start doing business. He strode to the shop door, placed both hands on it, briefly paused, turned his head to look at the man in black and the green-skinned frog behind him. As soon as the boss completes main task 3, we will have 3 new colleagues and a new shop to boot. The boss is not necessarily required to choose the system store manager from the newcomers, as you guys, who have been working for the boss for half a month, stand a greater chance. Hearing this, the eyes of the man in black and green-skinned frog were faintly twinkling. So, Teacher Tony laughed heartily, forcefully pushed open the shop door. Work hard, my colleagues. The business hours have arrived. Starfair Foster Care Shop in Zion City, open for business. Nearly at the same moment that Teacher Tony pushed open the shop door, the first customer who had been waiting outside quickly stepped into the shop. Boss Sue. The customer who had entered the shop abruptly halted their footsteps, looking at Tony, who was approaching quickly as if wanting to give him a hug filled with love, with a horrified expression on their face. Who the hell are you? Welcome to Tilda shop. Tony stopped walking, made a heart sign towards the customer. We 3 are the employees hired by the boss. The boss is temporarily away and we're in charge of the shop. You, the customer's face was hesitant. They couldn't help but take a few steps back, exit the shop and look up at the unchanged shop sign, suspicion tinging their face. Really? Of course, my sweetheart Tilda. Tony's smile was refreshing. Please believe in the boss's professionalism in selecting employees. We are totally capable of the tasks in the shop. Well, Boss Sue's business is doing so well, it makes sense to hire a few staff to help out. The customer reluctantly came around to it, but still couldn't help but to take an extra glance at Teacher Tony and the other 2 staff. Just wanted to say, does Boss Sue have any special preferences when it comes to hiring? Believe me, it's all a mere coincidence. In Starfair Foster Care Shop in Kingju City, Sue Ran earnestly looked at the hurriedly arrived Zhang Yun. I'm not purposely selecting peculiar employees. And you call this not such a thing? Zhang Yun looked at Sue Ran suspiciously. A few days ago, I fostered my stone-armored dragon while arranging for 3 hours of accompanying training service each day for it. And guess what? After the stone-armored dragon returned, it told me that the frog employee would offer his own hatchlings to it as food every day, while the one in black could scare it just by looking. The stone-armored dragon trained so hard for fear that they would attack it if it slackened off. Ah, this, Sue Ran slightly coughed with a guilty conscience. Anyway, the results of the fostering and accompanying training were achieved, weren't they? You don't actually say, in fact, you do not. Zhang Yun scratched his head, chuckled. The effect was really good. Then that proves our employees are trustworthy. Sue Ran spoke with a faint, guilty conscience. Anyway, it's good that you, Boss Sue, are back. Zhang Yun patted the stone-armored dragon standing behind him. Stone needs to be groomed. Sure. Sue Ran stood up, ready to take the stone-armored dragon for a wash, but Zhang Yun suddenly thought of something and hurriedly spoke. By the way, Boss Sue. What's up? I heard that when you were away, you had opened a branch store in Zion City. That's right, Sue Ran nodded. What's the matter? So you will still go to Zion City next, right? Zhang Yun asked tentatively. I'll be here for about 8 or 9 days, then I'll return. Then can I entrust you with something? Zhang Yun chuckled. There's a Transcendent Evolution Department in the Beast Master Association in Zion City. I don't know if you've heard of it. There is an elder in the Transcendent Evolution Department who had exchanged some words with me before. I've been wanting to write a letter to express my gratitude to him, but Xi'an City is too far for me to go, So, you want me to deliver a letter for you? Su Ran finished the sentence for Zhang Yun before he could. Correct, that's it. Zhang Yun quickly nodded, then his gaze was filled with anticipation as he looked at Su Ran. Can you do it? No problem. Su Ran didn't hesitate, he agreed with a nod. Speaking of it, the tradition he had started with the three little ones, to advertise our shop for increasing fame, was originally inspired by Zhang Yun. However, after several advertisements, Su Ran had carried forward this good tradition. Nowadays, it was just a small matter of helping to deliver a letter. It's nothing big. Thank you so much. Zhang Yun expressed his gratitude. I'll hand the letter over to you tomorrow. All right, no rush. Su Ran nodded, then brought the stone-armored dragon into the grooming room. A moment later, a deep, hearty roar could be heard from inside the grooming room. Roar tilde. This familiar feeling. Sitting outside the grooming room and hearing the familiar noise, Zhang Yun's face was filled with satisfaction. Thankfully, a few days ago, he had resisted letting teacher Tony help groom the stone-armored dragon. Chapter 374, 229 Boss Cat. It's time for you to take a bath. All right, the stone-armored dragon has completed its washing and protection. Not leaving Zhang Yun waiting too long soon, Su Ran walked out with the stone-armored dragon, who wore a bewildered look on its face. Even though it had completed the washing and protection process, the stone-armored dragon still couldn't snap out of the lingering sensations it had experienced. The feeling of the high-speed rotating grindstone coming into contact with its tough yet sensitive body due to the washing was unlike anything it had felt before. The stone-armored dragon licked its lips, unable to resist the urge to try the experience again. Thank you, Boss Su. Seeing its own stone-armored dragon restored to peak condition, Zhang Yun nodded in satisfaction. I'll write a letter for you tomorrow. Could you please deliver it for me when you go to Xi'an City? Not a problem, take care, Tilda. Su Ran waved goodbye to Zhang Yun. Once Zhang Yun and his pet had left, Su Ran turned to the Velvet Sparrow, who had appeared next to the counter. What are you doing? The Velvet Sparrow tilted its head to look at Su Ran, and then straightened up. Chirp tilde, going out for a stroll tilde. Ah, I see. Su Ran suddenly realized the Velvet Sparrow would leave for a stroll every day. He was surprised the bird kept this routine, as he had been away from the Qingzhou City shop for half a month. Off you go. Su Ran waved at the Velvet Sparrow as it waddled out of the shop door, then welcomed the next customer into the shop. Welcome. After a moment of surprise, the customer exploded in excited cheers. It's Boss Su. The Velvet Sparrow, who had not yet gone far, turned its head back at the sound. It looked puzzled. Is this guy really that popular? Forget it, I won't bother with him. Thinking about how Su Ran hadn't returned for half a month, the Velvet Sparrow violently shook its head and waddled away. Soon it crossed familiar streets and alleys, slipped through the high iron fence of a residential community with its tiny body, and arrived at the door of a house. Once it reached the door, the Velvet Sparrow gently tapped at the door with its hardened beak, making a dull knock-knock echo on the slightly old wooden door. Hey Tilda, you're here. A voice came from inside. The Velvet Sparrow stopped knocking on the wooden door and waited quietly. Creak Tilda. After a while, the door slowly opened. An old woman with a gentle face walked out from the house, leaning heavily on a walking stick. Her eyes had lost their sparkle, the pupils completely dilated, lacking the expression of normal eyes. This was a blind old lady. Little one, where are you? There was a note of expectation in the old lady's voice as she reached out and explored the space in front of her. Seeing the hand reaching above its head, the Velvet Sparrow paused for a moment, then sprung up to touch the palm of the lady's hand with its head. Ah, there you are. The woman seemed delighted and softly said, I'm counting on you today, Tilda. Chirp Tilda, leave it to me. The Velvet Sparrow responded, and then a faint bluish glow flickered in its deep blue eyes. An invisible super ability attribute power spread all around. The next instant, the world came alive in the elderly woman's barren vision. 2-star skills, waning moon-level illusory scenery. This skill, which confuses and misleads opponents by creating illusions, now takes on a whole new use in its hands. With the help of super ability attribute power, it can enable a blind person to see the world again. So this is what you look like. The elderly woman, who had temporarily regained her sight, gently crouched down and patted the velvet sparrow's head. What a cute little thing. She looked around and then cautiously placed her walking stick at the door. After gently closing the door, she said, "Let's take a walk around." Chirped Tilda, "No problem." The velvet sparrow nodded and began leading the way for the elderly lady. It was Boss Cat who had found this job for the bird while they were wandering together. In this transcendent world, there are also ordinary people, some of whom are disabled. Not all disabilities can be completely healed by healing-type pet beasts. Those that can't be cured could make everyday life quite troublesome. Therefore, the Beast Master Association has a relevant department to help these disabled individuals. Aside from providing financial support, they would also rely on the powers of transcendent beings. Through the use of transcendent power, some ordinary impossible things can be made possible. For example, super ability attribute pet beasts that can create illusions can lend their abilities to blind people, allowing them to temporarily perceive their surroundings through super ability attribute power. This happened to be something the velvet sparrow could do. This kind of help making use of transcendent power is not personally assigned by the Beast Master Association. Instead, it's done through the posting of tasks by those in need, and Beast Masters can accept tasks based on their own abilities. Simple tasks can earn money, while more difficult ones might even yield Beast Master points as a reward. Originally, such work wouldn't be possible for independent transcendent beings, because they would have some difficulty communicating with humans. But the velvet sparrow didn't have this issue. Chapter 375, 229 Boss Cat, it's time for you to take a bath. With the help of the one-star skill, Mind Induction, it was successfully recognized by the Beast Master Association and obtained the qualification to take on assignments. The task it is undertaking now was accepted yesterday. It needed to accompany an elderly lady named Tang Yuru for an hour stroll nearby, with a reward of $1,000. 1 hour quickly passed, and the velvet sparrow with the old lady walked a complete round around the residential area and nearby streets. It was evident that the old lady was overjoyed. After all, the people she had known by voice, she could finally see their faces now. In the end, the velvet sparrow escorted the old lady home. Entering her home, the old lady stopped in front of a dusty mirror next to the gate, gently wiped off the dust, and looked at herself in the mirror, lost in contemplation. Even though some time had passed, the velvet sparrow didn't interrupt. It curiously observed the old lady, wondering what she was thinking. "So I've grown this old," the old lady murmured to her reflection, her face wearing a brilliant smile. "I didn't realize it, feeling my face every day with my hands. It's only when looking in the mirror that I realize how fast time has passed." "Chirp, aren't you upset?" Hearing the old lady sigh, the velvet sparrow couldn't help but curiously ask. In its eyes, whether it be humans or transcendent beings, all feared death. So everyone resisted the concept of aging. But this old lady seemed not to feel this way. "I am," the old lady nodded slightly and spoke calmly, "but mostly I'm happy. When I was 8, I lost my sight due to an accident. Even healing-type pet beasts couldn't treat me. No man wanted a wife who couldn't fend for herself. As my parents and relatives passed away one after another, I ended up living alone. Although living alone is boring, there are interesting things as well." The old lady touched her face with one hand and touched herself in the mirror with the other. "For example, with your help, I can see what I look like." "Chirp Tilda, it's just my job." The velvet sparrow shook its head slightly. "But it's very important to me." The old lady spoke softly. "Seeing the world once more was my only wish, and now I have no regrets. To live a life without regrets is the most important thing." The old lady smiled. "Sorry, I talked too much." She turned around, took 10 bills from her purse by the entrance, and handed them to the velvet sparrow. "I'm not rich, so no one was interested in my assignment. I'm glad you were here. I hope you do not mind." When she said this, there was a hint of apologizing on the old lady's face. Super ability attribute pet beasts are relatively rare. There's even fewer that can restore sight to the blind and are willing to undertake such tasks. Therefore, the fees for similar tasks were often up to 5 figures, or even Beast Master Points rewards. "Chirp Tilda, this is enough." The velvet sparrow carefully took the bills with its chubby little wings and skillfully stuffed them into its pocket. It doesn't really need money anywhere else, occasionally takes a job for money, but it's only to have currency for food at the street snack stalls or to try the gaming venues in the human city. So it didn't care too much about the amount of money. This is its hard-earned $1,000. It could buy quite a lot of tasty food. At this moment, the Velvet Sparrow thought of a dessert called crispy sweet dumplings. It was a snack the Velvet Sparrow greatly enjoyed recently. The crispy outer layer concealed a soft and sweet inside. Its dark red melting center was especially sweet upon tasting, supposedly due to something called brown sugar. Anyway, eat it. Ah, right. As if remembering something, the old lady turned around and walked into the house. Wait for me. Quickly, the returning old lady held a small box of pastries. This is one of my little hobbies. The old lady smiled. Because of my eyes, it may look a bit rough, but the taste is pretty good. You should try some. Chirp, okay. Looking at the not-so-fine-looking but exceptionally fragrant pastries in the small box in front of it, the Velvet Sparrow nodded fervently. Crispy sweet dumplings, see you tomorrow. It picked up the small box and gently placed it on its head, stuck between the two feathers on top of its head. The Velvet Sparrow swayed as it walked out of the old lady's house, waving at her. Chirp, goodbye. As the door closed, the world of color once again plunged into a void. The old lady reached out and felt around on the porch for a moment, picked up her wooden stick and started walking inside step by step, a smile on her face, her gentle voice echoing in the room. How wonderful, Tilda. The Velvet Sparrow carrying the little box arrived at the high iron fence. Looking at the thin cracks in the fence, comparing the size of the box, it helplessly shook its head. With the box, it's a bit tricky to get out. Soon after noticing the residence's main entrance not far away, the Velvet Sparrow gently swayed and went along with one of the residents moving towards the main entrance. The resident, oblivious to the Velvet Sparrow's presence, swiped a card to get past the access control, and the Velvet Sparrow also successfully followed through. Tilda, perfect. Velvet Sparrow let out a cheer, then sneaked into a corner, carefully put down the little box it was carrying on its head, opened the box and was just about to taste one piece. Suddenly it thought of something, closed the box again, placed it back on its head, and started moving in another direction. In no time, the towering gate of Kingju City appeared before the Velvet Sparrow. Inside the city gate, a large area of the square is packed with people coming and going. There are hunting squads waiting for the city gate to open for hunting, squads returning from outside the city gate with various collected resources to sync with Beast Master Association's recycling points set up here, in exchange for Beast Master points. There are also many hunting squads resting here, full of life. Struggling through the crowd, the Velvet Sparrow finally reached its destination. There was a huge piece of fur from a transcendent being, and on it laid a muscular, 2-meter-tall cat-like creature, a human-shaped pet beast. At the edge of the fur, there were some miscellaneous items. After joining the tiger hunting squad, the boss cat refused the shelter from other squad members and moved all its belongings here, usually strolling nearby. When the tiger hunting squad set out, it would also join. Due to Boss Cat's strong abilities and friendly disposition, the local managers tacitly allowed Boss Cat's long-term stay. Big cat, I brought you some food. Velvet Sparrow picked up speed, swaying from side to side as it dashed forward. Then it tripped, and its round body, along with the tiny box it was carrying, flew towards the Boss Cat direction. Meow. Boss Cat opened its eyes, sat up quickly when it saw Velvet Sparrow, caught the little box with one paw, and gently put the Velvet Sparrow on the ground with the other paw. Try it. After the Velvet Sparrow steadied itself, it excitedly pointed at the box. Meow. What's this? Out of curiosity, Boss Cat opened the box and took a sniff. A look of interest appeared on its face. Looking at the intact little box and the 4 pastries placidly lying inside, Boss Cat glanced at Velvet Sparrow, thought for a moment, picked up one piece, and returned the rest to Velvet Sparrow. Tilda, we'll split it equally. Meow Tilda. I've already eaten, I'm not hungry now. Boss Cat smiled, rejecting Velvet Sparrow's offer. All right then. Only then did Velvet Sparrow nod its head, savoring the pastry. After consuming a piece, surprise took over its facial features. The pastry made by the old lady was so delicious. The 4 pieces of pastry were quickly gobbled up. Seeing the look of desire to share on the Velvet Sparrow's face, Boss Cat asked it solicitously. Meow. Did anything interesting happen? Let me tell you about today. Excited, Velvet Sparrow told its story about helping the old lady regain her vision. Then, Seemingly thinking of something else, it patted the boss cat on the arm. "Twee, Sue Ran is back, it's time for your bath." Chapter 376, 230, Meet the team again. "Thank you for coming again, Tilda." Sue Ran waved cheerfully to his departing customer, but was met with a resentful gaze. "Next time I come, I guess I'll be greeted by Teacher Tony again, right?" "Ah well," Sue Ran's lips twitched slightly, "unless something unexpected happens, yes." "Well, although Teacher Tony is really weird, I'll still come again." The customers sighed deeply and reluctantly left the Foster shop. It seems that Teacher Tony has left a significant psychological shadow on the clients in Kingju City. Sue Ran rubbed his chin, murmuring softly, "It's all the system's fault." After successfully blaming the system, he suddenly felt better. Sensing that there was a new movement outside the shop, Sue Ran quickly got up and began to greet his guest. "Welcome." Having a clear look at the visitor, Sue Ran's voice abruptly stopped, his smile becoming radiant. "Boss Cat, long time no see." "Chirp Tilda, I brought them here." The velvet sparrow hopped down from Boss Cat's shoulder, its feathers bristling with discontent as it hopped up to Sue Ran. All right, I acknowledge your contribution," said Sue Ran, ruffling the head of the velvet sparrow before turning his attention back to Boss Cat. "You want a wash and care session?" "Meow." Boss Cat nodded firmly, eyes filled with anticipation, and reached for its small bag tied around its waist. There's no need for that. Just like before, it's on the house." Sue Ran quickly interjected. "Meow Tilda." Boss Cat shook its head and determinedly took out some money from its bag, counting it before placing it on the counter. "Chirp Tilda, Boss Cat says it's making money now and can afford this." The velvet sparrow casually translated for them. "All right then," Sue Ran nodded reluctantly. Since joining the tiger hunting squad, indeed, Boss Cat wouldn't be short of money. Speaking of which, it had been a while since he saw the other members of the hunting squad and Lucky Liu. He wondered how they were doing. No sooner had he thought of this than he heard a familiar voice outside. "Boss Sue, we're here." Soon, one by one, familiar figures entered the shop. With the addition of Boss Cat, the entire tiger hunting squad had arrived. "Boss Cat told us you were back, so we all came over," laughed Liu Gu. "It's not that Teacher Tony is bad, it's just that we're used to Boss Sue's delicate touch. Last time when Teacher Tony cared for Wind Lion Dog, you were buddy-buddy with him. You guys even experienced his special Thai massage," Yan Fan exposed on the side, trying to make Liu Gu awkward. Liu Gu scratched the back of his head, trying to defend himself. "I was just being polite to Teacher Tony." This caused the others to burst out laughing. "Long time no see, it seems like you all are doing well." Looking at everyone's relaxed and jovial atmosphere that's just like old times, a faint smile surfaced on Sue Ran's face. "You can wait in the lounge, I'll take care of you one by one." After saying this, Sue Ran gestured for Boss Cat to follow him. "Meow Tilda." "I am first." Boss Cat politely nodded to its now familiar companions, then followed Sue Ran into the grooming room. Not long after, strange noises filled the grooming room as Boss Cat attempted to hide its embarrassment and discomfort. "Meow Tilda Tilda Tilda. Take care, see you next time." Watching the members of the tiger hunting squad leave, Sue Ran's face was all smiles. In the process of providing care for each member's pet beasts, Sue Ran was updated on Boss Cat's happenings after its recruitment into the tiger hunting squad by the squad members. Without strays becoming a burden, life was completely different for Boss Cat. Currently, Boss Cat had moved all its precious items to a corner in the large plaza at the city gate. Initially, the hunting teams expressed some dissatisfaction, but this quickly disappeared with Boss Cat's intimidating prowess and the support of the tiger hunting squad. Admittedly, the Beast Master Association's stance played a crucial part too. Considering Boss Cat's past merits, what harm would a small corner of the plaza make? With a new place to call home, Boss Cat quickly adapted to its new lifestyle. Whenever the tiger hunting squad left the city, it would follow them around. The resources it received, besides purchasing food for itself, didn't have any other noteworthy uses. Having a lifestyle that was not demanding, yet easily satisfied. As a pet beast breed known for their fondness of sleep, now Boss Cat could dedicate 16 hours a day to slumber. The remaining time was spent casually strolling around, effectively killing time. The City Gate Plaza, frequented by the hunting squad, was bustling with activity. In several ambush operations completed with the tiger hunting squad, Boss Cat made significant contributions. This tough bundle of fur, who had shown remarkable skill proficiency over the past several years, having achieved the Halo tier for all skills, would have dominated the Beast Trainer ranking in Xian City just based on its skill level alone, if only it could have evolved. Its robust fighting power enabled the Tiger Hunting Squad to undertake less challenging tasks meant for leadership-level hunting squads, thereby significantly increasing the team's overall earnings and making them all richer. The big house that Du Heng had been unable to buy was finally purchased, complete with a massive yard, so the armored rhinoceros no longer needed to be fostered. This morning, Su Ran didn't see the big creature. Seeing his old friend's life getting better and better, Su Ran was genuinely pleased. Stretching out, Su Ran gazed at the direction of Xian City and muttered under his breath, "I wonder how things are with Master Tony." Xian City. Two figures stood outside the Starfare foster care shop. "Brother Zhang, is this pet care shop really as amazing as you said?" The younger of the two looked at the open door of the Starfare foster care shop, curious. "I haven't heard of this place before." "That's because you're uninformed." The man referred to as Brother Zhang laughed heartily. "You haven't been paying attention to the leadership-level Beast Master rankings, have you?" "Well, no. After all, I'm just at the elite level." The young man scratched his head. "What's up with the leadership-level Beast Master rankings?" "Hey, there's been something big going on in the leadership-level Beast Master rankings these past days." Brother Zhang began excitedly. Fang Yuling, daughter of Chairman Zhang, had been the current rank 1 in both the individual combat power and the pet beast team power rankings. But now, her position at the top was snatched away overnight. Not only that, the person who took her spot is also the current first on the individual combat power ranking, which makes them the triple number 1. Huh, the young man's eyes showed surprise and disbelief. "There's someone that amazing. What's their name?" "Their name is..." Brother Zhang had a mischievous look in his eyes. "Starfare Foster Care Shop." "Young man." He blinked, looking at the shop named Starfare Foster Care Shop, not far away, his face filled with confusion. "Brother Zhang, is this some sort of new joke?" "No, no, no. The Beast Master's name really is Starfare Foster Care Shop because he's the owner of that shop." Zhang pointed towards the nearby Starfare Foster Care Shop. "And this shop, it blew up in popularity in a short period, trust me. Its services are much better than any pet care shop in Xian City." "Really?" The young man's face showed a trace of skepticism, but he couldn't help his growing curiosity about the shop in front of him. "Let's go and see then." "Good," Brother Zhang nodded heavily, a gleam of satisfaction in his eyes. Hook, line, and sinker. Soon, this sheltered lad will experience firsthand the mighty Tony. The pair of them walked into the Starfare Foster Care Shop. A moment later, a voice of fear could be heard from inside the shop. "You don't come over here." Similar situations were happening all over Xian City. Those who had come to see this prodigal beast master Su Ran, after his triple ranking feat, were later surprised to find that he was nowhere to be seen. Instead, 3 unusual shop clerks had taken over, causing each of them to wear pained expressions. Shopping at the Starfare Foster Care Shop had suddenly become a painful, yet pleasurable experience. While the value for service was far beyond any other foster shop in Xian City, the mental attack inflicted by the shop clerks on the customers and their pet beasts was immense. As they left the Starfare Foster Care Shop, all of them had the same thought. They couldn't be the only ones to suffer. It was time to randomly select a few lucky ones to share in their agony. With that thought in mind, these customers quickly found various excuses to bring their friends along. Unfortunately, that tactic soon fell through. Because the news traveled fast. The folks who knew about the Starfare Foster Care Shop quickly learned of the change in shop clerks and their distinctive style. Aside from a minor few who became even more excited, the majority of the customers did not fall into the pit dug by their friends. Left without a choice, these customers who'd wanted to bring their friends along turned their sights onto another group. Those who had not been paying attention to the leadership-level Beast Master rankings and didn't know about the Starfare Foster Care Shop due to various reasons. The pain didn't lessen, but it could be spread. For instance, at the sight of his friend's pained and reluctant face, Brother Zhang's smile returned. "Master Tony, care to give him a grooming service? It's my treat." That night, as the business hours came to an end, Su Ran sent off the last customer, stretched, closed the shop door, and exhaled, "Phew, finally done." His face displayed an overjoyed expression. Many familiar faces had come because of the news. On top of running the business, he also found out about a lot of things that had happened during his half-month absence. He casually opened his task list and began going through it like always. The next moment his smile froze. Main task 3, out with the old and with the new. Task description, please set up a branch shop in a second-level town and have the local fame reach 70%, 47.970. Task reward, System Clerk X3, System Upgrade Experience plus 400. How did it surge that much? Chapter 377, 230, 1. What do you think of Velvet Sparrow? Seeing his fame increase by over 4% in one day, Su-Ran immediately thought of the trio of system clerks located in Xi'an City. Could it be they've stirred up something new? With this thought, Su-Ran couldn't resist picking up the landline on the counter and dialing the exclusive number for Xi'an City. Boss, hearing your voice again is thrilling. This is the first time you've actively called me. You must be missing me. All right, Teacher Tony, hold up. Su-Ran swallowed his twitching mouth corner, interrupting the words spoken by Tony with a low voice. Is today's business at the Xi'an City branch going well? Of course. Upon hearing Su-Ran mentioning the business within the shop, Tony's voice suddenly raised by an octave. Thanks to you, boss, our store today was bursting with customers. However, through the combined efforts of myself and the other staff, everything was handled very well. Thanks to me, Su-Ran slightly raised his eyebrows. Of course. Tony, on the other side of the phone, nodded heavily. It was because you gained the first position on all 3 leader-level beast trainer rankings in Xi'an City that we had so many customers today. Is that so? In Su-Ran's voice there was a hint of puzzlement. It sounded plausible. After all, reaching first place on all 3 rankings and surpassing Chairman Fang's daughter, Fang Yuling, was indeed astonishing and naturally boosted his fame. But that happened the day before yesterday. Theoretically, his fame should have increased most rapidly right after the event, hence yesterday's fame increase should have been faster than today. But in reality, it was just the opposite. Somehow, Su-Ran felt something was amiss. It seemed like there was something he wasn't taking into account. Meanwhile, in Xi'an City at the Starfair foster care shop, Tony wore a beaming smile while holding the phone. At that moment, the voices of 2 women chatting outside drifted in. Huh, they usually close at this time. Why are they still open? It's good that they're still open. You, let's go in together and see just how magical the shop is. You can count on it. Noticing the commotion outside, Tony turned his head towards the 2 women entering the shop. Welcome, Tilda. One of the women's expression changed drastically upon seeing Tony, while the other gave a triumphant smirk and pushed her friend forward. Teacher Tony, can you take care of her pet beast? Cao Yue. The realization hit the woman and she shouted her friend's name before turning her gaze to Tony, who was looking their way. She quickly shook her head. Excuse me. Boss, let's talk later. We have customers. Tony uttered into the phone before hurriedly hanging up, laughing heartily and flashing a heart sign towards the woman. Welcome to Starfair Foster Shop. Do. On the other end of the phone, hearing the busy signal on the line, Su-Ran's expression gradually became odd. So this is what happened. At this moment, he seemed to understand something. It appeared the kind of friends that tricked other good friends into suffering seemed to exist in every world. Well, at least my fame has increased, Su-Ran grinned while shaking his head. Although Tony may sometimes appear a bit unsettling due to his excessive enthusiasm, as system store manager, he would never act in a way that would turn off customers and make them never want to return. At most, they would return despite feeling disgruntled. This unique method of increasing fame could indeed offer some new insights. Su-Ran stroked his chin, pondering the feasibility of letting Tony take charge if a similar situation ensued in the future. On second thought, it is better to just behave normally. Charming, we are back. Can-Can's voice came from outside the shop door, immediately followed by the sound of someone knocking on the door. Su-Ran reopened the shop door, quickly spotting the 4 little creatures. In addition to Xi'an, Star, and Can-Can, there was also the Velvet Sparrow that had accompanied them. How was it today? How did the gathering go? Seeing the smiles on the 4 little creatures' faces, Su-Ran quietly asked. Charming, we found quite a lot of good stuff. Can-Can shook its shell excitedly. Pieces of resources, pulsating with energy, fell off its body and scattered across the floor of the shop. Yes, the four of them had gone scavenging outside the city again. Previously, only Can-Can could burrow into the earth with its burrow soil ability, hence the gathering had to be carried out by it alone. But now, burrow soil has leveled up to the 3-star skill, subterranean shape pond, which not only is faster, but also grants the same ability to objects nearby. In other words, it can bring others along. Xian and Star, who had finished their 6-hour training in the training area and have no need to pursue the beast trainer ranking, chose to accompany Can-Can to look around, conveniently taking along the Velvet Sparrow that knew a lot about the environment outside the city. It was clear they were efficient. These resources varied from leadership stage resources as the highest to transcendent stage resources as the lowest, which had almost no value for the 3 little ones to absorb or use. However, sheer quantity made them valuable when exchanged for beast master points. Indeed, quite a good harvest. Su-Ran took a quick look and swiftly tidied up the resources on the ground. After we gather a bit more in the next few days, I'll exchange them for beast master points and split the points among you 4. Chapter 378, 231. What do you think of Velvet Sparrow? Chirp, do I get a share too? The Velvet Sparrow, which had been indifferent to everything, suddenly burst into excited light when it heard the words 4 from Su-Ran's mouth. It even got its own share. Of course, after all, you have contributed to the collection of these resources. Su-Ran nodded naturally. Tell me what resources you want to exchange, and I will help you do it then. Chirp, the resources I want. Hearing Su-Ran's words, the Velvet Sparrow's face showed a thoughtful expression. The enhancement of any transcendent being's strength requires the blessing of resources. It was no exception, let alone, besides the normal upgrade and growth stages, it still had the need for evolution. For the Velvet Sparrow, evolution was not a difficult thing. Just go step by step according to the method of Daddy's evolution, and it could evolve into the king species, Demon Hawk, just like Daddy. But when to evolve, the Velvet Sparrow had not made a decision yet. After all, evolution was a serious matter. Even with Daddy's method, it still had a certain possibility of failure. Originally, the Velvet Sparrow was planning to sneak back to the core zone of the beast field by the side of Daddy, after playing around in the human city for a while. But that time when it went out of the city, the Velvet Sparrow clearly sensed that Daddy had left a strength on its body to trace it. Looking at the time now, this force had long dwindled. Daddy knew its location but remained indifferent. This unusual reaction seemed to give the Velvet Sparrow some understanding. At this moment, it was not time to go back. So it might need to gather the resources for evolution on its own. Thinking of this, the Velvet Sparrow nodded its head. Chirp, thank you then. It looked at the 3 little beasts that were much stronger than itself, and couldn't help but hold up its little chest. After successful evolution, it would also break through the leadership stage. By then, it would not be weaker than these 3 guys. This is what you deserve. Su-Ran nodded with a smile. Let's go, we are going to the foster area. It's time to prepare dinner. The 4 little beings who had been hanging about outside nodded together. Their eyes lit up with anticipation. Soon, a delicious and hearty dinner was served in front of them, and the residents of the underground floor. After a wolfish meal, Su-Ran took the 3 little ones back to the 2nd floor to rest. Chirp Tilda, these guys. The Velvet Sparrow, full after the meal, looked at the back of Su-Ran and 3 little ones walking away, wiped its beak with its fluffy wings. A hint of envy flashed in its large blue eyes. Although the environment of the foster area was comfortable, it was sort of yearning to live on the 2nd floor like the 3 little ones. What am I thinking? I must be crazy. Shaking its head vigorously, discarding this thought from its mind, the Velvet Sparrow swayed over to its resting area. What do you 3 think of the Velvet Sparrow? Walking upstairs, Su-Ran sat on the bed and turned his head to look at the 3 little ones who had found their places ready to sleep and suddenly asked, Meow, Velvet Sparrow. Xian moved her ears. The image of the fluffy body of the Velvet Sparrow emerged in her mind, making her claws feel itchy again. Really want to catch this little fellow and have a good rumbling. A clever one, she had already known Su-Ran's intention. Although she didn't know why Su-Ran suddenly brought this up when he had just broken through to the 3rd stage, Xian nodded after pondering for a moment. Meow Tilda, not bad. As for the Velvet Sparrow, she couldn't talk about disliking it. On the contrary, she sort of liked it in a different way. But seeing that the little one was so scared of her, she could only keep some distance from it. Xilu Tilda, I like it too. The star-like purple eyes flickered with a thoughtful light. The smart It also understood Su Ran's meaning and nodded slightly. The Velvet Sparrow was of the super ability attribute, different from all three of them, and it was already at the elite stage, with one skill reaching the full moon level. Being strong now meant that fewer corresponding resources would be needed after the contract was made. The difference in attributes means they are not in competition with each other in terms of teachable skills. Star made this rational analysis, while also considering his own observation of the Velvet Sparrow. In his opinion, the Velvet Sparrow was a clever but quite immature little thing, and frankly, he didn't dislike the Velvet Sparrow. Charming, Velvet Sparrow, it's super powerful. Among the three little ones, only Can didn't quite understand Su Ran's meaning. As soon as he heard Su Ran's question, he quickly answered, admiring eyes twinkling. Although his own strength was much stronger than the Velvet Sparrow's at this moment, under the guidance of the Velvet Sparrow, he could always find decent resources outside the city with precision, which made the young and naive Can admire him greatly. Meow tilde, that's not what he meant. Looking at the clueless Can, Xian shook his head helplessly, extending his claw to pat Can's head and communicate Su Ran's meaning to him. Understanding dawned in Can's eyes, followed by surprise. So that's what he meant. Does this mean he can play with the Velvet Sparrow every day? Charming, I agree. It seems that all three of you agree. Seeing the reactions of the three little ones, Su Ran nodded slightly. The purpose of his question was obviously to make a contract with the Velvet Sparrow and make it his fourth pet beast. Originally, this issue didn't need to be discussed at this point. After all, considering the accelerating effect of the meditation acceleration card, it would be several months before he could break through to the fourth stage of contract power. But with the unexpected acquisition of the advanced meditation acceleration card, his time to break through to the fourth stage of contract power sped up. If everything went well, he would reach it in about 10 days. With this acceleration, the choice for the fourth pet beast became an issue that needed to be addressed as soon as possible. He had previously considered making a contract with the Velvet Sparrow. It was just a tentative idea then, but seeing the Velvet Sparrow again, the idea resurfaced. Despite the Velvet Sparrow appearing nonchalant about everything, underneath lay some mystery unknown to Su Ran. However, he found the sparrow to be an interesting and talented fellow who also had a fitting attribute. More importantly, it was already quite familiar with the three little ones. Making a contract with it is much better than finding a new pet beast to train and contract. I'll talk to it when I exchange beast master points in a few days, Su Ran smiled. He also had an extra king species evolution route. If the Velvet Sparrow was still as reluctant as before to make a contract with a human beast master, then let it feel the temptation of the evolution path a little bit. Having made up his mind, Su Ran sat cross-legged and slowly closed his eyes. In an instant, he entered a deep meditation state. Time swiftly passed, and 5 days were gone. In these 5 days, Su Ran had met almost all familiar customers at least once. His return was known to everyone in Kingju City, and the business of Starfair Foster Care Shop welcomed a surging increase again. After all, compared to Tony, everyone preferred Boss Su to do the washing and protection. The busyness was only for Su Ran. The three little ones who came back to Kingju City started to relax. After 6 hours of training every day, they went out of the city to look for resources and adventure. Accompanying them was the Velvet Sparrow, who would go out for a walk when the three little ones were training, and return to the shop to gather with them when their training was over. In these 5 days, under the precise guidance of the Velvet Sparrow and Can's efficient search, the resources they had collected had reached a level where the shop was almost unable to accommodate them. Su Ran made a phone call to have the association members come and exchange the resources. Over 5 days, they had earned a total of 16,000 plus beast master points. You each take 4,000. Su Ran looked at the four little ones who were all expectant and then turned to the Velvet Sparrow with a smile. Velvet Sparrow, is there anything you want to exchange for? A flash of excitement crossed the Velvet Sparrow's eyes. According to what it had learned during this period, with so many beast master points, it could exchange for all the resources needed for its evolution. Chirp tilde, fantasy crystals, Sui stage blood essence of the super ability attribute, transcendence flower efficacy healing water. The expression on Su Ran's face froze slightly. These resources, why do they seem a bit off? Chapter 379, 232. Your evolutionary path doesn't quite work. Suran was looking at the velvet sparrow with a surprised expression on his face. Something's not right. Very not right. The resources the velvet sparrow had just mentioned, individually they didn't seem much, but announcing them all at once gave Suran a strong feeling of familiarity. Though not the king stage blood essence, but the general stage blood essence was rather similar, along with the transcendence flower, superpower attribute illusion crystals, and the efficacy healing water that also had healing effects. The resources listed by the velvet sparrow seemed to be the materials for some kind of evolution path. Suran couldn't help but take another look at the velvet sparrow. Even though the velvet sparrow had mentioned some secrets of evolution before, it only elaborated upon what Suran already knew. So Suran was somewhat surprised, but didn't pay much attention to it afterwards. He accepted the velvet sparrow's explanation, assuming that it must have accidentally heard about it when it was outside the city. But a few sporadic evolution secrets and a complete set of evolution materials were not the same concept. Initially, Suran planned to wait for the velvet sparrow to exchange some resources, then show it the king species evolution path suitable for him, consequently enticing it to form a contract with him. But it seems that things are not going as expected. Are you planning to evolve by exchanging these resources? Suran asked quietly. Yes. The velvet sparrow nodded its head. It had previously mentioned the help transcendence flower can provide in its evolution. Suran was equally aware of this fact. Its proposal of transcendence flower was within Suran's speculation of it planning for evolution. However, he would definitely not be aware of the significance of other resources. These are the best evolutionary resources matched after countless trials by many inhabitants of the Velvet Sparrow tribe. Can you tell me the race name after your evolution? Chirp, Demon Hawk. The Velvet Sparrow immediately answered, then blinked its eyes. Oops, it seemed to have spilled the beans. Based on the identity it had fabricated previously, it was supposedly impossible for it to know the exact race post-evolution. It could explain away the evolution resources as it accidentally finding them during trials, but this. Feeling regretful in its heart, the Velvet Sparrow couldn't restrain from sneaking a glance at Suran. Upon seeing Suran apparently unaware of the slip-up, his facial expression remaining the same, the Velvet Sparrow secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, it was good. However, what the Velvet Sparrow didn't know was that, at this moment, Suran had already used the king species evolution path on it. In the space between it and Suran, numerous words that only Suran could see floated in the void. Evolution path, Velvet Sparrow superpower, right arrow illusion parrot superpower. Evolution difficulty. Evolution potential. Evolution path, Velvet Sparrow superpower, right arrow courageous glede superpower. Evolution difficulty. Evolution potential. Evolution path. Suran's eyes searched within the succession of evolution paths, eventually locking onto one of them. Evolution path, Velvet Sparrow superpower, right arrow demon hawk superpower. Evolution difficulty. Evolution potential. This is the evolution path prepared by the Velvet Sparrow for itself, huh? Suran took another look at the Velvet Sparrow. This creature was indeed interesting. Although it was clearly just a pet beast abandoned from the city, it knew clearly about its own evolution path. At this moment, Suran had a sudden impulse to find out what the Velvet Sparrow was really up to. But changing his mind, he gave up the idea. Everyone had their own secrets. The same notion applied to pet beasts. The anomalies he displayed during his store's operations, no one was digging to find out right. Forget it. Your evolution path, it's not too good. Velvet Sparrow. A blank expression appeared in its eyes. What is this human talking about? Its evolution path isn't good. This was the evolution path that the Velvet Sparrow tribe had found to have the highest success rate after hundreds of years and hundreds of tribe members risking their lives. Based on this path, the Velvet Sparrow tribe gave birth to a beast king, formulating the tribe into a superiority group that other transcendent beings would take a detour to avoid in the 97th beast field. How could such an evolution path not work? However, the Velvet Sparrow was unable to voice out these thoughts. After all, this would mean revealing its true identity. Chirp, why not? Because the potential is too low. Su-Ran laughed. Potential refers to the possibility of evolving once more after the initial evolution. You can understand it as, after evolving into a king species, there's another chance to evolve, to become an emperor species. If we rate the potential for different evolutionary types of pet beasts from low to high from 1 to 5 stars, then your evolution path has only 3 stars in terms of potential. Of the highest 5 stars, the evolution potential of the demon hawk was merely 3 stars. With Su-Ran's words echoing in its mind, the velvet sparrow's ocean blue eyes were momentarily lost. At this moment, it suddenly thought of its dad, who had already reached the limit of the king stage, and the countless times he had sighed in private. When it was young, it didn't understand, but now it does. Its dad wanted to take that step, to transform yet again. But that step seemed extremely difficult for its dad. Were all these difficulties due to the low evolution potential of the demon hawk? Instinctively, it believed Su-Ran's words. After all, its dad was the strongest and most talented member of its tribe. If even he couldn't evolve into the emperor species, then perhaps it really was a defect of the evolution path itself. So, the velvet sparrow gazed at Su-Ran, a glint of light re-emerging in its sea-blue eyes. Chirp, you have a better evolution path, don't you? Indeed I do, but... Chirp, I want to make a contract with you. The velvet sparrow suddenly spoke, cutting off what Su-Ran was about to say. Upon uttering those words, the velvet sparrow felt a mysterious relief in its heart. It understood that its decision to make a contract with Su-Ran wasn't purely based on the evolution path he hadn't told it yet, nor the fact that it couldn't verify the authenticity of this path. Such a thought had been budding in its heart throughout their past interactions. However, due to its personality and other reasons, it had never voiced this out. Now, taking this opportunity, the velvet sparrow expressed its thoughts. This must be what my dad was thinking about too. The velvet sparrow softly murmured to itself. If not for this, why would its dad, who always took care of it, so readily abandon it in a human city without a word? Once we make a deal, there's no turning back, Su-Ran said, a hint of a smile on his face upon hearing the velvet sparrow's words. The fourth pet beast confirmed. Although this little fellow in front of him had a few secrets. But no matter how big its secrets were, they were nothing compared to the system. So there's no need to worry. No need to exchange those resources from earlier. I'll find a new evolution route for you. After a slight pause, Su-Ran added, by the way, this should have been part of the resource distribution which you can only participate in after making a contract. I'm fulfilling it now in advance, but after making a contract, this will be deducted from your distribution. Chirp, this is part of the distribution too. The velvet sparrow blinked and looked at the 3 little ones whose gazes were full of goodwill. It was stunned. Although it had known about the resource distribution by the 3 little ones before, but what strange things have you guys distributed? Chirp, when can we make a contract? The velvet sparrow suddenly became a little eager. Don't hold an impart session behind my back. I want to participate too. Soon, in about 10 days, I will break through the 4th stage of contract power and have the 4th contract slot. Su-Ran responded while looking at the velvet sparrow's evolution route, eventually stopping on one of them. Evolution path. Velvet sparrow super ability attribute. Right arrow sleeping bird super ability attribute. Evolution difficulty. Evolution potential. This is the one. Once confirmed that this is the only evolution route of the velvet sparrow with a 5-star potential, Su-Ran chose it without hesitation. Suddenly, with the dissipation of other evolution routes, the details of the current evolution route unfolded rapidly in front of Su-Ran's eyes. Evolution path. Velvet sparrow super ability attribute. Right arrow sleeping bird super ability attribute. Evolution difficulty. Evolution potential. Evolution conditions. Velvet sparrow has not broken through to the leadership stage. All talent skills of the velvet sparrow must be upgraded to 3-star skills before evolution. All 3-star skills reach waning moon level proficiency. Evolution materials. Dreamer's shadow main, king class superpower blood essence main, dream weaving silkworm silk main, fantasy crystals life dewdrop transcendence flower. Missing main material will lead to guaranteed failure. Missing supporting materials decreases success rate. Evolution ritual. Complete the transformation evolution under the condition of having 10,000 living beings dreaming at the same time. The power of the dream must be swallowed. This evolution route. Suran rubbed his chin. In terms of evolution conditions, the Velvet Sparrow has already met the first and third points. It just needs to upgrade all talent skills to 3-star skills. With the current abundance of resources, making a contract and participating in a resource distribution can easily help it meet this condition. As for the evolution materials, they aren't a problem either, although many aren't available in Kingju City. But they're definitely available in Xi'an City. This time, the most difficult part would be the evolution ritual. Have tens of thousands of living beings dreaming at the same time. That's not quite easy to achieve. As Suran was deep in thought, he met the Velvet Sparrow's expectant gaze. "Chirp, what's the evolution route?" The Velvet Sparrow couldn't help but ask. "Your most potential evolution path is called Sleeping Bird." Suran paused slightly. "It has a 5-star evolution potential, but the difficulty of evolution is correspondingly high." Following this, Suran told the Velvet Sparrow the rough situation of this evolution route. Hearing Suran say that the Sleeping Bird has a 5-star potential, the Velvet Sparrow was initially excited, but after hearing the entire evolution path, the excitement on its face turned to shock. How can this be achieved? Just the skill upgrade to 3 stars seems absolutely impossible to it. Talent skills are supposed to upgrade after evolution, so how does one upgrade them before evolution? Also, the required evolution materials. Other materials it had seen with its dad, but the Dreamer's Shadow. This resource is extremely rare. Even its dad doesn't have it. Where can it find such a resource? Xian's eyes flashed with a hint of laughter as it looked at Star and Cancan. Now is the time for them to step up. Chapter 380, 233. The Nightmare Beast King that rushes to the Beast Emperor. "Chirp, what did you say?" Having listened to the chattering explanations of the 3 little ones, the Velvet Sparrow's expression shifted from initial bewilderment to now surprise. Although the Velvet Sparrow hadn't contracted yet, and the 3 little ones didn't reveal everything about the boosting process, just the mere knowledge that Suran had a way to elevate a 2-star skill to 3-star was enough to render the sparrow speechless with astonishment. It turned its head to look at Suran, sparks of admiration lighting up in its eyes. Having a high-potential evolution path and a way to elevate 2-star skills to 3-star without evolving, this human was just too amazing. Were all human beast masters like this? But according to its observations, the other beast masters' pets didn't seem so powerful. So there could be only one truth. The beast master it chose was special. For a moment, the Velvet Sparrow felt a surge of secret delight in its heart. "Anyway, don't worry about the evolution conditions." Suran paused momentarily. "Once we contract, I will be able to take you to Xi'an City. By then, getting the corresponding evolution materials won't be hard. Our only problem is the evolution ceremony." Suran's face revealed a trace of concern. With thousands of creatures dreaming at the same time, this ceremony might be a bit challenging to pull off. The Velvet Sparrow opened its mouth to speak, then closed it again. To its perspective, this seemed to be the simplest part of all. There were countless transcendent beings in the beast field. Under its dad's charisma, it could easily summon thousands who could dream simultaneously. This would be no sweat for its king-level dad. After the initial excitement, the Velvet Sparrow suddenly became a bit concerned. You can't wrap fire in paper. Once it contracted with Suran, its identity couldn't be hidden forever. Given the animosity between humans and the transcendent beings in the beast field, to the point of being mortal enemies, how would Suran view it after he found out the truth? Thinking about this, the Velvet Sparrow fell into a sudden gloom. "What's wrong?" Noticing the Velvet Sparrow's initially excited, then suddenly low-spirited demeanor, Suran softly asked. "Chirp tilde, nothing." The Velvet Sparrow shook its head vigorously, rallying its mood to keep Suran from seeing its thoughts. Undeterred, Suran turned his attention to the 3 little ones. "Do you 3 want to exchange for resources?" The 3 little ones shook their heads in unison. The king-level resources they had previously exchanged for were still not completely absorbed. How could they settle for minor resources in Kingju City? "Then let's save them for later." Suran smiled, put away his cell phone, glanced at the fading daylight outside the shop door. "It's getting late. We should head upstairs for bed." "Velvet Sparrow, do you want to come up with us?" "Chirp me." The Velvet Sparrow's eyes lit up. All its previous negativity swept away in an instant, and its mood brightened considerably. Every time it saw the three little ones follow Sue Ran upstairs and it could only stay in the foster area, it envied them. Even though it hadn't contracted yet, it could now finally join them to sleep upstairs. Chirp, let's go. The velvet sparrow hopped off the counter, its putty body swinging side to side as it trailed behind the three little ones, following Sue Ran upstairs. Chirp Tilda, so this is where you guys sleep every day. The velvet sparrow, which had ventured upstairs for the first time, flitted here and there, appearing quite curious about everything. It fluttered its wings, managed a jump from the floor to Sue Ran's bed, and started to inspect its surroundings. It was far less spacious than its lounge area downstairs, but for some inexplicable reason, Velvet Sparrow liked it here much more. Not only because Sue Ran and the three little ones were here, but also because this place evoked a sense of warmth that nowhere else had. The last time it felt such warmth was in Nightmare Palace, located in the core zone of the Beast Field, the stronghold of its race filled with its kin. But in contrast to the Nightmare Palace, this place had something more novelty. The Velvet Sparrow hopped about, flying to the bedside lamp and quickly found the light switch. With a light tap from its beak, it turned on the light, then turned it off with another tap. Next, it fluttered onto the coat rack, inspecting Sue Ran's clothes with interest. Seeing how the Velvet Sparrow was curious about everything, the three little ones exchanged glances. Then Can-Can reached up its paw. Charming, this time I got it. Having said so, Can-Can quickly went beside Velvet Sparrow. Charming, come with me, I'll show you around the second floor. Chirp, okay. The Velvet Sparrow's eyes lit up, and it nodded vigorously. Soon, Can-Can carried the Velvet Sparrow out of the bedroom to explore the rest of the rooms. Watching this scene, smiles appeared in the eyes of both Xian and Star. When Star had first arrived, Xian had guided it around the upstairs and downstairs surroundings. Likewise, when Can-Can was born, Star had introduced it to the other residents in the downstairs foster area. Now it was Can-Can's turn to help Velvet Sparrow. Before long, Can-Can returned with the Velvet Sparrow. Sue Ran was pleased to see the four little ones getting along better, then turned to Velvet Sparrow. Do you have a name? If not, shall I help you get one? All this time, he had referred to Velvet Sparrow by its race name. Since he had decided to contract Velvet Sparrow as his pet beast, at least he should give it a name. Chapter 380, 233. The Nightmare Beast King that rushes to the Beast Emperor. Name. There was an inexplicable glow in the Velvet Sparrow's eyes. Chirp, my name is 12. Huh, Sue Ran blinked, revealing a surprised expression. He was not surprised that the Velvet Sparrow already had a name, but rather that its name was so extraordinary. All right, if that's the case, I'll call you 12. Sue Ran smiled and rubbed the Velvet Sparrow's head, then looked at Xian, Star, and Can-Can. Speaking of which, the names of his four pet beasts all seemed to have different styles. Well, it's not a big deal. Chirp, great. 12 slightly tiptoed, voluntarily rubbing Sue Ran's palm. Its sea blue eyes slightly squinted, its face showing a somewhat contented expression. As the 12th daughter of the Nightmare Beast King, the other members of its race and other transcendent beings in the Beast Field call it the 12th Princess. Only its parents and siblings call it 12. This is a way of address unique to family. It loved being called by Sue Ran in this way. You lot should go to sleep. I need to meditate as much as I can. Sue Ran said with a smile, letting go of his hand and getting in a comfortable position on his bed. Emboldened by his decision to form a contract with 12, his motivation to meditate increased. The next moment, Sue Ran drifted into deep meditation. As she watched Sue Ran with his eyes closed in deep meditation, curiosity flickered in 12's eyes. Was this how human beast masters trained? This was her first time witnessing it. According to Sue Ran, in just over a dozen days, he could break through to the 4th stage of contract power and form a contract with her. So, 12 cast an encouraging look at Sue Ran. Keep it up. The next moment, 12 suddenly felt that something was off. Before she could turn back, she was in 2 fluffy claws. Huh? Huh? Seeing Xian, who had embraced her, 12 looked slightly horrified. Meow Tilda, sleep time. Xian stuffed 12 into her arms, curled up, and showed a satisfied expression. Tilda, she had wanted to do this for a long time. Laying on Can-Can's scales with her head resting on Star's neck, Xian quickly closed her eyes and slowly fell asleep. As time passed, poor little 12, curled up helplessly and unable to move in Xian's embrace, gradually came to her senses, her face showing a near-tearful expression. How was she supposed to sleep like this? While 12 was slowly integrating into the little family of one human and 3 pets, and nervously drifting off to sleep, the Nightmare Beast King remained conscious. At this moment, it had retracted its dreadful majesty of the king level completely, except for its huge and majestic body size. The rest of its power seemed to have fallen silent. But if you looked carefully, you could see that this tranquility was like the calm before a storm, hiding a surging power. The Nightmare Beast King wasn't in its usual spot in the core of the No. 97 Beast Realm, the forest where it and its kin resided, but was in a massive cave deep underground. Can would have been surprised to find that this cave was the very one where it had completed its evolution. A humongous Earth attribute dragon of king level lay in front of the Nightmare Beast King, already cold but still instilling fear. The Nightmare Beast King stepped forward and gently rested its wings on the king's carcass. Even in death, the Earth King's body still responded to the presence of its killer, emitting faint energy fluctuations as if expressing hatred that hadn't diminished, even in death. However, what it couldn't do in life, it certainly couldn't do in death. A hint of coldness flashed in the eyes of the Nightmare Beast King. Cautilda, let your death be of some meaning. The power of the super ability attribute rippled around it. The next moment, mysterious symbols appeared on the Earth King's body, quickly draining the last bit of its power, which covered the inner wall of the cave. The power derived from the earth enveloped everything around, forming a windproof, flawless cocoon, hiding all fluctuations of power. Having done this, the Nightmare Beast King gently flapped its wings, shattering the now hollow corpse of the Earth King into ashes that fell into a corner of the cave. It then flapped its wings again, and resources fell in front of it one by one. Any of these resources contained powerful energy fluctuations. The one at the top radiated a majesty even more terrifying than that of the Nightmare Beast King itself. This was a majesty that the Beast King could not possess, a majesty inherent to the Emperor species. It was a resource of the Beast Emperor tier. Whether it would be successful or not, it all came down to this one attempt. Even though the Nightmare Beast King, who had long been accustomed to hiding its emotions beneath the surface, had a glint of excitement flashing in its eyes at this moment. It has been scheming for so long, and finally it is about to take this step. It was getting closer. Once the evolution was complete, all the struggles should come to an end. A terrifying power began to surge within the cave, but was completely hidden by the power covering the cave walls, preventing any transcendent beings from sensing any fluctuations in this area. The evolution of the Nightmare Beast King was starting. In the number 97 Beast Realm core area, there was a gigantic active volcano. This active volcano incessantly spewed out horrifying heat waves and toxic fumes from its crater. Even ordinary transcendent beings would face the danger of perishing just by getting close. At this moment, a powerful transcendent being stood by the crater of this volcano. Despite being one of the fire attribute transcendent beings with the best resistance to high temperatures, and even though its strength had already reached the general stage, this was the limit of where it could stay. This transcendent being was kneeling, its head bowed low, facing the direction of the volcano crater, continuously making noises, as if telling a story. A moment later, the heat wave erupting from the volcano crater suddenly became more aggressive. The continuously erupting smoke forced this general stage transcendent being to retreat a bit. Roar Tilda. You're saying the nightmare is hiding something from this king. A deep and terrifying roar echoed from inside the volcano. The next moment, a massive skull slowly emerged from the crater, its head covered with golden red magma, which quickly slid down as it raised its head, eventually revealing its dark red scales and the mottled traces on them. Following that, the formidable claws and body of this giant beast were revealed. Finally, it completely walked out from the lava where even ordinary transcendent beings could hardly survive if they got too close. From its towering position, it looked down upon its subordinate, and its king stage majesty skyrocketed. One of the 6 kings of the number 97 beast realm, the Lava Beast King. The subordinate of the general stage trembled under the enormous majesty until the Lava Beast King withdrew its momentum. It finally calmed down and made a hoarse voice. Hiss. King, in recent times, there have been many abnormal activities from the Nightmare Beast King's subordinates. Based on these observations, I deduced that the Nightmare Beast King might have some other plans. After speaking, The general stage subordinate lowered his head a bit further. There was something else he didn't say. The Nightmare Beast King is the only super ability attribute Beast King among the 6 kings, with the highest wisdom in the entire beast realm. Undoubtedly, its plans would not be simple. But this, the subordinate wouldn't say. Because the Lava Beast King standing in front of it was the most volatile and murderous among the 6 kings. A statement carrying such implications could instantly provoke the Lava Beast King, turning it into a skeleton in the lava. After hearing the subordinate's words, a trace of disdain flashed in the eyes of the Lava Beast King. That old sly nightmare must be up to no good. Roar. Let's test it out a bit. Hissed Tilda. King, how should we test it? Should we enter the territory of the Nightmare Beast King? The subordinate of the general stage couldn't help but look up at the Lava Beast King. In the beast realm, disputes never cease. As leaders of 6 different groups, the 6 kings naturally couldn't always coexist peacefully. They each had their own territories, and casually entering the territory of other kings was an extremely serious provocation. If that was what the king wanted to do, the consequences could be severe. The Lava Beast King grunted, and intense heat waves rolled out. Roar Tilda. Didn't you say that the nightmare lost a daughter and hasn't found her yet? If I remember correctly, you reported once that you found her in a human city. If that's the case, it's reasonable for me to help the nightmare find my niece, right? Chapter 382, 234 Old Man Hinayan. Unaware of the conflicts within the beast field, Suran was completely oblivious. After meditating all night, he felt that his contract power had increased considerably and nodded in satisfaction. He was close. Breaking through to the 4th stage of contract power was just within reach. Upon hearing Suran wake up, the 4 little beasts woke up one after another from their sleep. Except for 12, who looked a bit out of sorts from not sleeping well, the other 3 were full of energy. We are going to freshen up and then prepare breakfast for you, Suran said, changing into his clothes and getting up. Breakfast? 12 blinked its eyes and immediately perked up. But what's freshening up? Seeing the 3 little ones follow Suran expertly into the bathroom, 12 pondered, its eyes gleaming with curiosity, and it ambled in 2. As soon as it entered, 12's eyes couldn't help but widen. It saw Xian standing on its hind legs on a stool, front paw on the wash basin, and the other paw holding a special toothbrush. Xian brushed its teeth proficiently, working up a lot of foam quickly. Xian then dipped its head into a bowl of water nearby, took a big gulp, spit it out, and thus completed its freshening up routine. Star and Kankan, on the other hand, had different ways of freshening up. Star drank a glass of mouthwash as it had no flexible paws. After making some gargling noises, it spat it out, and its 2 rows of neat teeth were instantly clean. The cleaning of Kankan's teeth was the trickiest out of the 3, as it had all sharp dragon teeth arranged in 2 layers. Conventional toothbrushes could not clean them properly. So it used an electric toothbrush specially prepared by Suran. With a humming noise, Kankan's teeth were well cleaned. When it opened its mouth, it even looked more intimidating than usual. Seeing the actions of the 3 little ones, 12 got somewhat puzzled. As everyone knows, birds don't have teeth. So what could it do to not be the odd one out? Waiting online for advice, somewhat urgently. Upon seeing 12's confused expression, Suran smiled and brought forth a specially prepared stone, like magic, and put it in front of 12, saying, "This is for you." 12 looked curiously at the stone in front of it and quickly understood its use. Slowly, it leaned forward, using its hard beak to rub onto the coarse stone. The surface of the stone quickly scraped off the dirt from its beak, easily restoring it to its original cleanliness. The next second, there was another smooth stone in front of it. "This is a polishing stone for polishing. Try it out." 12 looked at Suran and gladly rubbed its beak on the polishing stone. Instantly, its once dull beak from scrubbing was now shiny, even feeling a refreshing sense of renewal. Using the clean beak to smooth out its feathers, 12 looked at its own mirror image and nodded in satisfaction. Day 1 of trying to fit in, successful. Hope to see you again soon, Tilda. Seeing the customers leave satisfied, there was a hint of a smile on Suran's face. Time flew by, and 2 days had passed since he agreed with 12 to break through the 4th stage contract power and form a contract with it. With the day's business over, he was going to head back to Xian City. Since there was no contract yet, 12 still couldn't accompany Suran to Xian City. However, the threesome had already agreed with 12 to pick it up the following week. According to Su Ran's judgment of his own progress in meditation, he would be able to break through the contract power of the 4th stage within a week. He was going to Xi'an City first this time to help 12 exchange for the resources needed for evolution. If all went well after contracting 12, he could even take it to Xi'an City to show its strength on the elite stage pet beast ranking. With this thought, Su Ran couldn't help but look at 12, who was sitting next to the counter swinging its little stumpy legs. Knowing he would be parting with his trio buddies tomorrow, 12 was especially clingy today. Although it didn't say a word, it didn't go on its usual wanderings but stayed by the counter accompanying him. Without 12's participation, the trio did not go out of the city to pick up garbage and were still hard at work in the training area. "Don't worry, after I return from Xi'an City tonight, I'll come back for you in a few days," Su Ran said softly, stroking 12's head. "Chirp, it's a deal." 12 nodded heavily, revealing a hopeful look in its eyes. After the contract is completed, it could then participate in resource allocation. It had been dreaming about this resource allocation, mentioned frequently by the trio for a long time now. The anticipation and anxiety for the new evolution path filled its heart. The small conversation between the human and pet was disrupted as new customers walked into the store from outside. "Welcome." Su Ran stood up habitually and was startled as he saw the old man who entered the shop. This old man he had seen once before. When he won the new Beast Master Challenge match, he had been awarded an opportunity to pick a beast egg from the Beast Egg Library. The old man was in charge of guarding the library back then. "Good to see you again, sir," Su Ran quickly greeted him. "I didn't expect to meet you again." "Is that so?" A hint of amusement flashed in the old man's eyes. "But I have been wanting to see you again a few times now." "Huh?" Su Ran blinked in surprise. What did that mean? "I am Hinayan," the old man introduced himself lightly. Hinayan. Hearing this name at first, Su Ran only vaguely recognized it. After a moment his eyes widened. Isn't this the name of the president of the Beast Master Association in Kingju City? Could it be that the man before him is? Yes. Seeing the realization on Su Ran's face, Hinayan nodded, "Just as you are thinking." Before Su Ran could speak, Hinayan started walking into the shop while speaking. "Initially, when you participated in the exchange, bringing such honor to Kingju City, I should have met with you. But at the time, I had other things to take care of. Now I finally have the opportunity." "Good day, President He." Su Ran couldn't help but straighten up a bit. "No need to be so formal," Hinayan laughed, giving Su Ran a pat on the shoulder. "Gu Wu has mentioned you a few times in my presence. Today, I'm simply here as a customer, bringing my pet beast to be cleaned." "No problem," Su Ran nodded. "How many are there?" "All of them," Hinayan answered softly, a sharp look flickering in his eyes. "All right," Su Ran nodded and then instructed Hinayan to follow him into the cleaning room. "Please summon your pet beast in the cleaning room." "Fine." Although old, Hinayan's steps were steady as he followed Su Ran into the cleaning room. "Peepa." Watching the closed cleaning room door, the creature 12 tilted its head in curiosity. It felt like the very powerful-looking human was watching it. Cleaning and caring for 4 general stage pet beasts at once was not an easy task even for Su Ran. By the time Su Ran had finished cleaning the last of Hinayan's general stage pet beasts, the sky had gradually turned dusky. No wonder Gu Wu has told me so many good things about this shop. Looking at his rejuvenated pet beasts, Hinayan's face unfolded into a smile of admiration. "Perhaps I should have come earlier." "President He is welcome here at any time." Su Ran laughed. "Even when I'm not around, there are shop assistants to provide the cleaning service, and their skills are just as good as mine." "Oh really?" Hinayan sighed lightly. "Well, there might not be another chance." At the very moment when his words fell, the urgent alarm sounded loudly throughout Kingju City. Su Ran's expression turned rigid. This was the first time he had experienced this kind of alarm since he arrived here. Yet he knew what it meant. A beast tide. Moreover, it was an unresolvable beast tide. This was a warning for an impending citywide catastrophe. He turned his head sharply to look at Hinayan, whose expression was calm and not perturbed in the slightest. Su Ran immediately understood. Clearly, this association president somehow knew of the incoming disaster beforehand. That was why he had come to the Starfair Foster shop today, to have his 4 pet beasts cleaned and cared for, to get them into top shape. That was why he had just mentioned there might not be another chance. President Su Ran started. His words were cut off by a thunderous roar coming from somewhere. Boom! At that moment, the entire Kingju city began to shake violently. It's happening this fast. Su Ran's heart sank. Attack arrives just breaths after the alarm. What in the world is happening outside the city? Little boss Su, have you ever heard of the Beast King? Nian's calm voice landed heavily on Su Ran's heart. Is the Beast King coming? Su Ran's pupils constricted sharply. Why would he come to our small city? Roar! An eccentric roar echoed from beyond the city walls, traveling across a vast distance. Even those unfamiliar with the language of the beasts could instantly grasp its meaning. Hand over the daughter of the Nightmare Beast King, or face city extermination. The daughter of the Nightmare Beast King, Su Ran murmured, his face reflecting confusion. What's that? Unnoticed by him, the beast standing dumbfounded on the counter 12 was even more bewildered. It recognized the owner of that voice. It was the Magma Beast King, one of the 6 kings from inside No 97 Beast Realm core area, and the one who had the worst relationship with its dad. Why wasn't it its dad looking for it? Why him? The Nightmare Beast King is one of the 6 kings within the No Beast Realm core area. Nian stepped out of the shop and then turned to look at Su Ran. His figure blinked out of sight, leaving behind a nonchalant comment. His species is the demon hawk.